Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat asses online already.
We don't normally get this kind of action.
It's for us. It's just
exciting.
for us. It's the way our stream.
Dear. It's because you guys are here.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Noodles? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the No Show. Buckle your chin straps, tighten your belts, and make sure you lace them up because we are done with week one, moving on to week two.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a crazy week one, just like we had, expected. But a lot of ups and downs. Home teams, getting upset by some of the away teams. Injuries all over the place, like we had also expected would happen.
Oh, a lot
with this, and some crazy twists and turns. So some up and coming. Future Hall of Famers battling against each other. So a lot happened in week one. We're excited to talk about it. Thank you so much for joining us. We're our Football on the Know. You can follow us on Twitter, FB_Know. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook and our Football on the Know show. Join the group if you would like here. And also follow us on Twitter. On YouTube. YouTube.
You can
Subscribe
follow
to
us.
on
Just
YouTube.
search us up, Football on the No Show. Make sure you subscribe and
Excellent.
also hit the bell for all our latest updated content.
Absolutely. And already we've got Dora Phillip in the house joining us with us tonight here.
What's going on, Dora?
Yeah, Dora's in the house. Yeah, I mean, she was on her show. She made the intro now, Joe.
She did.
She is on the intro now, so that's awesome that she joined us with us tonight.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's get right into it. Joe, let's talk about Thursday's game quick. It was the Chiefs and the Houston Texans. The Texans looked like what we said last week.
Yep.
Didn't we not call this again? We were a team that is not as good on the defense, that they possibly were before, and without DeAndre Hopkins now, it looked like Will Fuller was the guy to go to. Now it's the absence if he stays healthy or not. And one surprise is David Johnson looked fairly good, though, for that team. Though.
Yeah, and that's the thing is David Johnson, it's never been a question about his talent or if he can play in the NFL. He has been, he's had MVP-like a year early in his career, and then all of a sudden with a huge track record of injuries. It just seems like this guy hasn't played what it feels like in 4 years. He always seems to be injured, so we never get to see how good he could have become. Now, look, he's healthy yet again with a different team. He's changed jerseys, and there's still a stigma about him about it's just a matter of time, right? Like we got through week one, everybody in Houston's like, oh, good, we got through week one. He's still healthy. That's great, but everybody's still thinking like, eventually this guy is going to get hurt yet again and he'll be done for another year, and there's going to be no one in that backfield after that point. So David Johnson, he had an amazing opening to the season, did very well, ran the ball well, ran the ball hard, received the ball in the backfield like he used to in Arizona, and he looks every bit as good as he once did in Arizona. So there's got to be some positivity about that in Houston, but there's not a whole lot after that point. Yes, they have Will Fuller, but again, another guy who we're just kind of waiting to see, can he stay healthy? Is this the year that he stays healthy long enough to make a major contribution for this team and help carry this team with Deshaun Watson at quarterback? Another thing, too, is after that point, where's the other weapons? Because in that Thursday night game, Jim, I noticed that it seemed like with these additions of Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb and then even they had Darren Fells at tight end over Jordan Atkins, which I thought was an interesting move. Bill O'Brien, maybe you could elaborate on that. And but they weren't utilized. It was almost like it was either Will Fuller, a few passes to the tight end, and then David Johnson, and that was it. Yeah, you very rarely got to see Cooks involved or any other receiver after that point. So that limited their offense. And then defensively, just like you mentioned early on, just like we kind of thought, weak at cornerback. They still have a great safety in Justin Reed, but
It
beyond,
seems like Reed and the other safety that they had, Murray.
Yeah,
was
Eric
the
Murray.
only ones that were playing.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's sad because you know what? That's a big telltale thing. That
Right.
if the safeties are the one making the plays going way too far.
Absolutely.
Those are the guys making the
yeah,
tackles.
because
you know
they're the
that
last
something's
in line
happening.
on the
Exactly.
defense. So I mean that's really what it tells you.
Exactly. We have
And-
Cody Cook in the house real
Yep.
quick. I just want to say shout out to Cody's in the house.
on,
And
Cody.
Swervo Gaming is in the house too as well here with us. He just joins us. He says, LOL, that's right. 1-0 in fantasy. I know what you're thinking after last year. If you remember, it was my first time winning the whole thing. That's right.
Swervo,
Yeah, there it is.
congratulations on last season.
Yeah,
definitely.
But
But
he's
listen,
in the house.
Swervo, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
only week 1. It's the very beginning of the season, and you know what? You could make a run. Everything's good. Like, listen, like I have a couple of wins under my belt after week 1 in fantasy, so I'm feeling pretty good in those leagues. But things can change very quickly. You don't play the right guy one week. Injuries happen just like week 1. I mean, I don't know if you had anybody maybe on your bench or something, but now like Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is gone for the year. The guy, everybody was so high on this guy coming into this year, and then all of a sudden, after week 1, he's gone, just like that. So anybody that had
Stripped
Mack
from you.
as a starter, he's done. So now, people are starting to look towards Naeem Hines and Jonathan Taylor
He
to
looked
take
good.
the helm. Those issues happened in just 1 week, in the first week of the season. So that's pretty crazy for fantasy users.
Yeah, I know.
Well-
Fantasy was going to be kind of crazy this season just
Yeah.
because we weren't sure about COVID. But then the injuries again, without having the preseason and so many getting your hands on them type of practices, and we're seeing it early already.
And really what it is it's the preseason games. No preseason games to really kind of to get your body into football shape.
Yep.
And take on those hits and so forth to kind of, get your body ready for them.
Here he's here. He says, I had Ridley on my bench, LOL, but still
Oh,
won.
man.
Yeah,
Nice.
what's funny too is I hadn't
Nice.
even brought up about Calvin Ridley having a game, and there you go. It went right through. It's great. And,
Yeah, so I mean the Houston Texans, what I wanted to say too is that
Yeah, sure.
I did not see a lot in their linebackers. Like, they have these, stable linebacking core where they've always been there. Whitney Merciless heading that group, and I didn't notice Whitney Merciless for once. You know what I mean? It seemed like he wasn't in the backfield as much as we're accustomed to. It seemed like the Chiefs did a good job of kind of almost stunting and stopping J.J. Watt's pass rush along with Merciless, along with these other linemen. And because of that, they were able to pick them apart as the game went.
Yeah, he really couldn't get. But they were actually letting kind of the pressure come to him and then dishing it off to Kelsey and some others. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire did have a pretty good game. He was making some big plays. A lot of it due, though, too, a lot of missed tackles. They should have probably had him wrapped up earlier
Yeah.
than some others, but he is that sketchy little – he's shorter, can kind of steamroll it out of there, too. Overall, it was a good game, but it was kind of played out the way we thought it was going to go.
Yeah, but isn't that funny though? How like the beginning of the game went. Like if anybody got to see the beginning of it, it looked like Houston was going to be able to stay right with them. Houston even, in fact, had the lead in the beginning. It was 7-zip them, and it seemed like they were able to play well enough on defense to kind of slow down that
way they
offense
marched
of the
it down,
Chiefs,
especially in running.
And then on the reverse side for the Texans, it seemed like they were able to move the ball and execute. So it looked like that was going to be in the making of a really good game. And then after that initial burst from the Texans, it seemed like they just flat out forgot how to play.
Right.
And the Chiefs just kind of took over the game. When you have that many weapons on as Kansas City does, it makes it really hard for defenses to key on any one person. And with the Texans, what they were doing, and this is what they normally do, is they do play a lot of zone. And when you play
Yeah, I
zone
saw that a lot,
against
too.
Tyreek
Yep.
Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins, who's made a healthy return, along with the rookie running back, it's not a recipe for a win, for sure.
Absolutely. And I watched a little bit of the Buffalo Jets game, too, and that was absolutely putrid. I mean, and even with
You
that,
thought it
with-
was going to be good?
Oh, I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to be. I mean, but again, it's like to see how inept the Jets are. It's sad because even there were times where Josh Allen had made little mistakes here and there. Some of it, his throws were off, but then even the fumble holding the ball right out there to get stripped and not to be able to capitalize on it. And then the fact that you can't run at all, you still don't have that pass protection for Le'Veon Bell, and now he's injured and he's on the IR right now. So it is putrid. And like I said, and now looking forward, their schedule doesn't get any easier. I'm looking at their bye week is their first win, and traditionally it isn't even really a win. It's only a win because they are not going to lose that week. It is rough. They have a rough schedule coming up. I don't see them winning until week 10 or 11, or they're on the bye week 10, 11. Week 11, they might be able to come and beat the Dolphins and shed one out if by then they fire Adam Gase.
That's a really long stretch. I mean, it is a football league. It could happen.
Anything can happen though.
But I will say this. The one thing that's holding this team back is Adam Gase. And the fact that they have no real weapons right now. Now, they went out and they try to add guys like, Brashad Perryman, and they have Jamison Crowder, who they had since last season, and they drafted, Denzel Mims in hopes of having those guys start. But Perryman went down with an injury before the season started. Mims was hurt as well. And they basically had what they had last season is just Crowder and the tight end Chris Herndon. But it wasn't enough. Yeah, they had Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, and he got some of the plays. But listen, the teams are not scared of Sam Darnold. Their defenses are just not worried about Darnold just beating them in passing attempts and whatnot. So they know the offense is weak. The offensive line itself is improved a little bit, but not enough. And defensively, what was once a very stout defense is now kind of like a playground for offenses.
Well, yeah, they weren't able to have Mosley at all.
No,
and now they traded away to Jamal Adams. So, I mean, again, you're slowly getting your picks in, and now they're gone again already. The only pick that you really had that's still there even is like, Sam Darnold. And he can't get anywhere because you can't get him weapons, can't get a running game going. So he basically has defenses in his face nonstop.
But really, that's the Jets' own fault. Jamal Adams, they decided to trade, and C.J. Mosley decided not to play, so he's gone.
Yep. And Swervo says Burrow versus Baker tomorrow should be a good game. He's calling the Bengals. I think I might go with the Bengals again here, too. We'll talk about that just a little bit, especially what I picked last week. And he also says, did the Jets say that Adam Gase is locked in for a while? Chris Johnson has came out and said he backs him. Yeah. But if you're talking to what I'm talking, if they cannot win, these next couple, 8-9 games, but they play a lot of tough teams. You know what I'm saying? It is a tough schedule.
They got to be able to be 500.
If they cannot get any of these, things will start, they got to start thinking about it. I mean, you can't just hold it out there again and say, well, he's going to get turned around. He's going to get turned around. Decisions that he has made, and even handling players now is the problem. And if that's a problem and it hasn't changed, you got to do something. You got to make the change no matter what.
I tell you right now, the problem is his offense. Like his play calling and him just running an offense, it's never worked out for him. No matter if he's a head coach or just an offensive coordinator, he's not very good. He's just not the guy to be at the head of any team. So Adam Gase really, to me, is the main issue. And it's not like it's his first year with the Jets, so we could give him a grace period. No, he's had a couple years there to try to start turning it around, and we haven't seen any results pointing to that. So I'm sorry. And listen, here's the thing is, a lot of people instill confidence in their head coaches or GMs that they've hired. And they're all going to say the same thing. Whenever there's speculation like, hey, are you going to fire this guy? Are you going to fire this guy? The response is always going to be, nope, we stand by him. He's our guy, because that's what they are going to say right away. And then just to kind of basically put a security blanket over the fact that maybe they might actually be thinking about that, but it can't happen right this second. It's the beginning of the season. Probably going to happen at the end of the year if they keep struggling, which it looks like they may.
Swervo says he misses Rex Ryan. I think it's a good, valid point. I mean, at least they had swagger in their defense. At least
they had a loudmouth coach then.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's, again, another guy that never amounted to being any good as a head coach.
But he took Mark Sanchez and stuff to the playoffs, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Great D coordinator,
that's what's
though.
wild a lot of times with some of these teams. You have a guy that has had some success with him. It doesn't work out. You try and find that next quarterback or that coach, and you're still in limbo for the next 8 years. Look at the New York Giants kind of having that same type of issue here and there too as well. Last time you were in the playoffs, you had Rex Ryan. Is that pretty crazy? And you were dying to get rid of him. All right, you have Mike Tackett is in the house tonight with us tonight.
What's going on,
tonight.
Mike?
Mike Tackett is in the house. All right, happy hump day, he says, guys. Projected first-round pick guard Wyatt Davis from Ohio State rescinded his decision to declare for the NFL.
Oh,
Has
really?
officially rejoined the Buckeyes.
Nice.
On the download breaking news. There you go. Projected first-round cornerback Sean Wade declared for the NFL. May also have change of heart. A source of mine who was very close to the Ohio State program has informed me that after he celebrates his birthday today, a decision to return back to campus and play is very imminent.
Wow.
There you go. Dropping the knowledge. See, Mike Tackett, he's coming out now. He just basically revealed our source. People have asked me, like, how do you guys know the news, breaking news, before it comes out to the score in the NFL? A lot of times,
very good sources.
We got sources like this here. Mike Tackett is right on top of this stuff, but
That's
he
right.
might have
And
just
that's-
revealed himself.
That's
here.
actually pretty incredible
Yeah, it
to
is.
get the little bit of news there. And those are two critical players for the Buckeyes, for the college football season. And the Big Ten is going to play this year. It's been discussed that I believe, Mike Tackett, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the startup date for the Big Ten, they're looking in November.
No, it's
possibly?
October 23rd.
October?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yep. So, and it's crazy, but again, they
I'll
thought
tell
they
you
weren't
right
going to
now.
have it, but then the president says, "Hey, I'm working on this deal,"
Yeah.
and it starts talking to him. And then they start talking about rapid response testing, and here we go.
I'll tell you
Turn
right
it right
now,
back
though,
around.
those guys, definitely the head coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes is a great coach, and I feel like he's definitely had his hand involved in getting to talk to these players and try to get them to convince them to come back.
All right, here you go. Swervo Gaming has a question. Can you compare Rex Ryan and Jason Garrett maybe a lot better at just defense or offense?
At just defense or offense. So what, you mean comparing them as coordinators?
Yeah, see, Mike Tackett, October 23rd right there. Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Just defense or offense? What's he saying in that one?
I'm not really sure, but I'm going to take a
Ryan
stab at it.
and
Like
Jason Garrett,
if
maybe
he's
a lot better.
if he's
Just,
Well, I think-
I know what he's saying. Not great head coaches, but Rex Ryan, great defense coordinator, and Jason Garrett, better offensive coordinator. Yeah, there's a lot of coaches that are like that.
Yeah.
I think look at Todd Bowles even. Todd Bowles playing, has
Great D
great
coordinator.
defense going on. Same thing. Boom, can make it work. Norv Turner has had success and things like that. Offensive coordinator and stuff.
Mike just chimed in and said,
make it
I agree. Ryan Day definitely led the charge for getting the Big Ten back to play. Absolutely. And I just think the world of him. I think he's going to be a phenomenal coach for Ohio State for many years. As long as they can hold on to him, that is. Coaches do get popular, and other teams want them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I was hoping they wouldn't play because then my Michigan Wolverines couldn't lose again this year to the Ohio State Buckeyes. But now it seems imminent. So there you go. I'm going to get grief from Don. Don's got to be out there somewhere ready to give me grief. I'm not sure.
Raider Don would have given you.
Exactly. I know. That's what I'm going to be like. All right. But yeah, let's bring up Joe Burrow, seeing that Swervo talked about it.
Okay.
By the way, we have comments out there supposed to be relaying to all platforms. So if you guys see what's going on from YouTube to Facebook and back and forth, I think that's a really great special thing. And let us know if that is what's going on here. And feel free to comment back and forth and talk with each other. We love the interaction here. But the Cincinnati Bengals, last week I called it. I called them to win. They probably should have won that game, but a missed field goal at the end, and then the push off from AJ Green.
Yep.
Definite push off. We saw a lot of push offs this year, and is that due to just even lack of practice here and there, and receivers not able to get away from these defenders here, or what the hell? But I mean, it seemed like this week it was just bam.
No,
right out in the open.
It's not about practice. Listen, these guys are not rookie receivers. These guys
Oh,
are
I know.
veterans. They've been in the game. They know what's expected of them. They just committed, offensive pass interference. It's what they did, and they got called for it. A lot of times, the receivers sometimes they get away with it by just doing a little nudge, a little tiny shove to try to create that separation, and usually the refs will give it to them. But as soon as your arms go extended, pushing off of a defensive back, they have to call it. They have to.
Yeah.
As long as they see it, they have to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened several times this week, which was
Mm-hmm.
surprising. In week 1, you saw a lot of it, and a lot of it being called. So kudos to the refs. You probably won't ever hear me say that again, but they did a good job calling them.
Yep, getting grief here and there. But again, Joe Burrow, I had been checking up on him throughout the offseason here. He said he had a real command of the team. They believe in him, and he looked pretty good. You know, he was out there making some plays, got a rushing touchdown as well, and this game kind of slipped away from him. On the other hand, too, the Chargers are kind of the way I thought they might be, too. Under Tyrod Taylor, they got him because they thought he was going to be a more accurate passer, not make some of those mistakes that Phillip Rivers did. I mean, he didn't have the turnovers that Phillip Rivers would have had, but some of the 50-50 balls were really questionable here and there. But that defense, still that front line, created a lot of pressure for Joe Burrow, too, as well. He wasn't able to sit back and relax either. So it was a close game. I think the Bengals really should have had it, but like Swervo said, we're looking at that Cleveland team, again, who we heard during camp, all through camp, can't get Stefanski's offense down for some reason. They're not connecting, especially Odell and Baker. They just can't get it done there.
And that's the thing is when you look at any of the teams that have new coaches or a new offense to learn or something, especially with what has transpired, no preseason games to really kind of correct each individual player on their mistakes. You know, there's a learning and growing process with these preseason games that go hand in hand, especially with a new regime in place. There's a lot to learn. They got to change the verbiage. They got to the plays are different. So without those preseason games to act as kind of like a teaching moment for these coaches, you're starting to notice that. We thought with no preseason games happening, we thought it was going to be sloppy in the beginning portion of the season, and we're noticing that, especially for a team like Cleveland. They're trying to learn a new system. They're not hitting on all cylinders. They're struggling a little bit with the new playbook, and I don't know if it's verbiage. I don't know if it's execution on the routes, but we've noticed it in their practices. So now it's carrying over into week 1. They're struggling still a little bit on it. They're going to keep working on it, and hopefully they can get it ironed out by, within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I don't know. Maybe they change things up, simplify things for this week. It's a short week. There's not a lot of preparation for Thursday night games right after you played Sunday. So they're diving right back into a game. So maybe Kevin Stefanski is going to dumb down the playbook a little bit to kind of simplify it maybe and run the ball more. It seemed like they didn't run enough last week, and that kind of played into them becoming like one-dimensional.
I agree there, too. It kind of seemed like it. Swervo says he can see everything. He likes it. Even says their names. Awesome. That's awesome that works now.
We confirmation there,
Jim.
Yes,
we love that. I love it. That's awesome that it works. He says Cowboys game is a great example of that push-off and things like that.
Michael Gallup.
Absolutely,
Michael Gallup did that.
Yep. And so let's talk about the Cleveland Browns here again, real quick.
Okay.
I mean, like you said, I didn't think they ran enough either. And in the beginning part, I mean, they kept it fairly close in a sense.
Yep.
And even the defense was making some plays here and there. But again, the misconnections, not running the ball enough. And it made me think, even if you want to talk about teams that need stuff, how about making a trade here? With the Redskins and the Cleveland Browns, they talk about the talent that the Cleveland Browns have, but it's not really working all together. Who's the guy that's not even really producing like you hoped that he would? It seems like Jarvis Landry's the guy. He's been making a lot of plays here and there. Why not try and trade, especially that's what I've been hearing maybe rumors of, trade Odell to a team like, say, the Washington Redskins, who need a wide receiver. They probably have equity that they can afford and even trade away. I would give up a number 1 pick still here for Odell Beckham Jr. if I am the Washington Redskins.
Yep.
With that defense that you have there, get Dwayne Haskins another weapon besides. Look at this: Terry McLaurin on one side, Odell Beckham Jr. on the other side. With that defense, I mean, watch out, Cowboys then too. I say Washington's got a great chance right there.
There's only one
division.
problem with that whole situation is that there's no such thing as a Redskin anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The
Washington football team
is what you were referring to.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the team with no name. I forget.
Yeah, it's a team that couldn't figure anything out before the season.
So why do I think even to figure this trade out?
That's the thing that we talked about off air is teams that could possibly make this trade. and it's interesting because you're starting to hear some names being thrown around as far as teams that could be interested. We've heard rumors about possibly, John Gruden has been kind of pounding the table to try to attempt a trade. Before it was trying to obtain Jadeveon Clowney. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like he really wants a guy like Odell. Mm-hmm. I would be okay with it if it happened. And definitely I would be willing to give up a first-round pick to get Odell, to team him up with guys like Ruggs, and a lot of that youth that they have. And that could even propel them even farther as an offense. But Washington is just in desperate need for playmakers, for receivers in general. And I don't understand when they had this offseason, as unique as it has been, they didn't do anything in the offseason to add more weapons for Dwayne Haskins, who worked very hard in the offseason, lost weight, looks very clean in the pocket, looks decisive, has always been accurate, but he needs more weapons around him. With a backfield that's kind of uncertain, no one really knows who's getting the rock down to down.
Really mixed it up.
And now you have basically scary Terry McLaurin at one side, and it's like just the rest. It's like the rest of the receivers they have. It's nobody with a name. It's nobody that's going to scare anybody. I believe the other starter is like Sam Sims or something like that. Yep. Sorry, not proven. Nothing to kind of even out the defenses when they're playing against an opponent. Defenses are just going to double team Terry and not really and just go man or zone or whatever against the other guys. So I beg you, Washington. Add somebody. I know it sounds crazy, but add someone like T.O. You might laugh a little bit.
I don't know.
But I'm telling you right now, the guy's in phenomenal shape. He still is still as strong as heck. I mean, he runs great routes. He's still blazing fast for his age. He runs a 4.40. Like, it ain't going to hurt anything. You sign him to a 1 year low amount of money deal and have him learn the playbook, get him out there, get him in plays. It's almost like they don't want to improve the team. You got to take chances. You have to sometimes. And with this team, with having no weapons, it ain't going to hurt anything. Add a guy like T.O., see what he can do. If he doesn't work out, you just cut him. It's fine. But do something. Add something. There's receivers out there looking for a job. Get them in there. Jesus, Washington, do something.
Washington gets Sanu maybe. Did it become official with the 49ers yet? I know they're interested.
Sanu is signed by the 49ers.
Yeah, he went to the 49ers, so there you go.
But that's a perfect example, Swervo, is Mohamed Sanu got cut from the Patriots. He was sitting out there. You think Washington ever lifted up the phone? I'm telling you right now, Sanu wasn't going to cost you anything to get him to play. They could have easily added Sanu, and he could have started opposite Terry. Would have made a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Michael Guerrero, great show, guys. Go Raiders. My man. There he is, Michael Guerrero there. He always chimes in,
Mike.
Say hello. Raider fan. Washington gets, go see. He said about the, Swervo said about Odell trade here. Heard a lot about that. Yeah, teams, they should be calling and say, hey, what's up? We see you guys still having struggles. You want to unload that. We could use a guy here and there, but who has the equity, the salary cap to be able to do it?
You got to be able to take
willing
the salary.
to give up that, that pick. Because, again, for Cleveland even, too, say if that's a great trade partner with Washington, the Washington football team, and say they get Odell, but then even they still struggle within the division, you're going to get a really nice number one first-round pick again. So I think it works out for both teams. They just got to be able to pull the trigger. And how great would that be for Odell again to get reunited with, say, Landon Collins and still be in the NFC East, play against the Giants, and have that, with that.
And if you really want to put it to Odell, just trade him to the Jets.
Yeah. Watch the Jets like, hey, we're finally going to get our weapon, and they're just like, no. Oh man, how about that going from then to then? All right, Swervo, you guys are amazing. I didn't know that. Thanks. No problem, Swervo. We're here for you, man, and I'm sure you guys let us know. Just like Mike Tackett's up in there, he's got the business, he's got the ear out there to the ground. He knows what's going on. He lets us know a lot of times too, right on the point too. I love it. Speaking speaking about the Washington football team there too.
Yeah, what do you got?
I don't think anybody really picked them. A lot of people were picking the Eagles to win that game.
Oh, yeah,
They
100%.
looked even horrible. If it wasn't for injuries, I don't even think they would have won that game still. But as the Eagles went and just, Vinny Curry, everybody just kept dropping. They already had to start because they had to start a rookie right tackle, and then he got injured. So then the third string guy, it was just dropping like flies. Carson Wentz, the one thing I've kind of been a defender of him in a sense, not as much as I am with Tony Romo, but because I see him try hard, and a lot of times when there's injuries too, he's got to feel like he's got to do it all on his own. But then when he does that, a lot of times he makes those bonehead mistakes to where he feels like he's got a gunsling and let it all out. And we saw that on Sunday. He made some really dumb plays on that third down where he backpedaled all the way back instead of throwing it away. You're clearly out of the pocket. Throw it away. He tucks
Was
and
he
takes
outside
the
the
sack.
tackles though?
He was outside.
Oh, he was
Yeah,
outside.
he was. He definitely was. And he could have just got rid of it. Instead, he takes a sack and brings it back, and they still go for a long 50-something yard field goal, but then it's missed wide right, and he even had to struggle to get the distance. Dumb mistakes like that where he should know already that you can't be doing things like that to hurt your team and putting his body out there. We saw him, again, take an under-over again. How many times have we seen that with him like that? Going to stretch as far as he can, his knees to touch the ground, hit from below, hit from above, bam, and that's how you get knocked out again.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
and that's the
Same
thing.
mistakes that's going to get him injured, and this team now seems like they're injury-riddled, and they could fall drastically in this division.
That's the thing. The Eagles have always had a hard time. And it doesn't matter what position it is. It seems like they always end up getting hurt along the way down the stretch. Carson Wentz, the one thing that he has to do this year is stay out of harm's way. Do not take hits, unnecessary hits. Slide if you got to slide when you're running. Just get down, throw the ball away, get out of bounds, do something to avoid those hard hits. And if he keeps going, like that and taking a hit, even a hard hit one time a game, eventually it's going to wear him down, and he's going to end up being injured and put on the IR once again. And he's too critical for this team. They need him to stay as the starting quarterback. And if that doesn't happen, they will struggle mightily as an offense. And an offense that's aging. We got Jason Peters now playing left tackle for the Eagles. That's 35, 36, something like that.
36 or 37.
And
he's
old
37.
left tackle has a history of injuries recently, and Alshon Jeffrey was out in week 1, most likely might be out in week 2. Deshaun Jackson, another guy that's aging, he's hurt quite often. It seems like the only weapon they have is the guy that they just drafted in Jalen Rieger, who made a nice catch, one catch for 54 yards or something like that. Made his name known. And then you got Arcega Whiteside, who's kind of been waiting, who has been waiting for that starting opportunity. He's been out there, but not very effective. So Miles, another guy, Miles Sanders, who was projected to be their starting running back, was also out week 1. Looks like it's looking favorably that he'll be there for week 2, as well as Lane Johnson, who their starting right tackle was out last week. He'll be back for week 2, so they get some kind of healthy relief in that order.
Yep, definitely. And I'm looking at the list now here, and this is how it goes. You've got Derek Burnett. He's got a hamstring. He had a full practice though. Yeah, Fletcher Cox. He did not practice. He's got some rest, something really. I don't know what they're saying there, but concussion. Brendan Graham, Jason Hargrave, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, and Miles Sanders again. But Miles Sanders looks like he is going to come back.
Well, Lane Johnson is
Lane
too.
Johnson,
he's on the injury report, but he's getting healthy.
Right. And then you've got the guys Vinny Curry on the IR, stuff like that. It's
Vinny
nuts.
Curry's too old.
Yeah.
He should be on the IR.
And Swervo Gaming says, he goes, 8 sacks. How does that happen? Again, the injuries that they had with it in game. You got backups in there, and the pressure. Plus, that defense is great. Everybody knows that defense is awesome.
The defense we already knew they were pretty darn solid before. They were really good last season. And now they just added one of the best pass rushers in 5 years in Chase Young. The dude is no joke. He pancakes offensive linemen like it's his job. And he just wreaked havoc for his first game as a rookie, which was pretty impressive. He already has 1.5 sacks already, week 1. I can't wait to see what he can do in week 2 because phenomenal defense. Now, if Dan Snyder and the GM with the Washington football team, you guys got to do your work here. Help Dwayne Haskins in this offense out. Get him some weapons. That could really turn the tide of this season for them. They could be competing by the end of the year with that division.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Forget about a lot of things that's been going on with that Washington team if you start winning as well.
Swervo, I got one request for you, buddy. We really appreciate you being on the show and everything. If you have any friends that love football or anything, make sure you send them our way on YouTube. Get them to subscribe for us and help us grow this football family of ours.
Absolutely. Here we go. He's got a question up for us a little bit here. Actually, I'll get to that one first, and then we'll go back to his other comment here. Swervo just said, I want to hear in now from Jim and Joe who's winning the Super Bowl. Your guesses if you had to guess.
Too early. It
is too early.
Way
you
too
never
early.
know with these things. You never know.
Because here's the problem, Swervo, and this goes along the lines of injuries. We've already seen week 1. It's kind of crazy how many starting players, how many players that are major contributors on teams all get injured, whether it be minor or major, just in week 1. Let's see how the season goes going forward with all these different teams. The season for each team could be drastically changed just by one guy. Like, say your quarterback goes down.
Yeah.
You're pretty much screwed unless you have a bona fide, real good backup to maybe kind of soften the blow there. But we got to see down the stretch how many teams can stay healthy enough to make that push.
Yeah, but if you want me to take a guess, I'll say real quick, Baltimore Saints, and then the Saints edging out Baltimore. I'll say that. So Saints.
Okay.
There you go. There's a quick prediction for you. All right. And he says here, Big Ben has more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. Yeah, people have to rub that in again on me this week. I was watching that game and trying to watch the running game. And
what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that's what basically was what I was saying. I was like, yeah, we already knew, again, this Steelers defense was good. It was going to be
good. Very good defense.
I was excited. This was my gauge game. I wanted to see how the Giants were going to gauge against this team because I thought their defense is really good. Offense is going to be, we'll see what happens with Big Ben and how he rolls into it. And they're a decent team. They could not run. They could not run block. It was just getting pressure constantly. Thomas making mistakes. Fleming not knowing who to pick up. But, again, that was partially because of the defensive schemes. When you're sending a guy here, you've got another guy coming in wide open. And Saquon, especially even in the passing game, isn't the best pass blocker either, though. A lot of times he said he was working on it over the offseason. But, again, I saw key mistakes. When they had a corner blitz, sees the corner coming in, decides to meet him on the outside like he's just going to run to him that way and not change direction, comes through the gap, and by the time he's got to reach over to him, and Daniel Jones is already getting pressure. Daniel Jones was pressured all day long by those guys. Weren't able to run, so it made it one-sided. So that's all they did. They basically sent their whole team almost on every play just to create pressure and test Daniel Jones out and see what he can do. And despite that, though, they kept him in the game for a while. It wasn't until that crucial time, I think, again, that turning point where it's towards the end zone. And as a young quarterback, I mean, remind you, only has like 13 starts or so, or 12. And there he goes, making a mistake, getting pressure. Right there's Bud Dupree on him, who was in his face basically the whole game, putting his hands up, trying to run against his normal body motion. If you swing right, you can have a hand here and make that throw. If you're running to the left and you're a right-hand quarterback, your motion's got to be cocked and go like this, and you're meeting the guy head on right there. So his arm's tipped, ball comes fluttering, tons of Steelers right there. It's basically a can of corn right there for him to just take. In
a nutshell, that game was all dictated by the Steelers' defense.
Absolutely.
They made up a point to shut down Barkley and make Daniel Jones throw the ball and make Daniel Jones be the answer why they lose. So that was the main key point for the Steelers. They executed it tremendously well, and they took Barkley out of the game. However, I will say this. Daniel Jones played admirably in that contest. A guy who didn't fold. He didn't make really any major mistakes except for that one that when they were driving right down into the red zone, and like Jim was mentioning, he forced a throw that shouldn't even have been attempted and thus ended up in an interception for the Steelers. completely turning that game around, which looked like, now listen, if he just throws that ball away, lives to play another down, next play, maybe they get a first down, the next play after next 2-3 plays after that, they score a touchdown. The game's a completely different game now.
Yeah,
now
it was
they're
a
in the
close
lead.
game.
Now they're in control. The defense's morale raises. They're ready to go. And we could have possibly seen an upset, but because of that one critical mistake, it's going to haunt Daniel Jones for this whole week until he gets back on that football field. Hopefully he learns from it and grows and moves on into week 2 to take on who.
And
who
even
Giants
that,
got.
what I was like is that front line of a defensive line of the Cowboys or the Cowboys of the Giants, getting pressure on Big Ben even, and that's that's the one thing too is you had a great offensive line of the Steelers right there. Those guys have been playing together for a while, and for them to create pressure and knock Ben around, I thought he might even be injured in that game because he was holding his knee for a little bit, got banged up a little bit. You weren't sure. You're always walking on eggshells with Ben Roethlisberger here, though, too, nowadays. So you don't know. Right. So I was excited about that. Swervo says, you see Tiki Barber saying Saquon isn't an every down back. You agree? What?
Wait. Hold on. Tiki, you've been out of the game too long, my bro.
Wow.
Because that comment right there, you shouldn't even be commenting on a game or calling a game. Like that's just blasphemy.
Retard alert.
Yep, exactly.
Unbelievable.
And Tiki, he just ever since he has left
He's
the
a
Giants,
hater.
he wrote the book and everything. He hates them. He's been hating on him nonstop. Saquon, no, all around guy. But then also, if you want to touch a little bit on that, I would have liked to seen Deion Lewis a little bit mixed up with Saquon back there at the same time. Switch up some plays. I like the one play they did where it was the fake handoff, the fake double handoff, and it swung out and he still hit Saquon on like a swing.
Yeah.
That was a great play. Do a little bit more of that. Even fake some sweeps across with some wide receivers there too.
Well, it depends how their offense is constructed.
Right. If you're going to
might
do a
not
little
even
bit of
have
that,
sweeps
try and create something, even some of the shorter pass plays to mimic short runs here and there. One other positive, Darius Slayton. He is going to be their quarterback of the future here, or their wide receiver of the future. He looks outstanding. He got even better from last year.
Yeah, and we saw that last season. We already saw that the talent was there.
Yeah.
We also thought that this season he was going to break out and be the number one go-to guy. It was a little weird though because throughout that game it didn't look like he was being used as a number one. It was more like he was being used as a number 2 in a sense, or even 3 for that matter.
Well, that's how far along he was in the depth chart too.
Wasn't even like kind of utilized until what it seemed like later on in the game, like second half, and then all of a sudden the guy's got 2 touchdown catches and has like 6, 7, 8 catches overall throughout the game, and really kind of made a major impact. So definitely get the ball more often to a guy like Darius Slayton. He's definitely got to be the go-to guy, the guy that kind of springs this offense into action and give the morale a big kick on the offensive side. Also, I'll tell you this right now. If he stays healthy, he's going to have a great season because it seemed like he was kind of the favorite of Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
Sterling
definitely.
Shepard made a lot of plays, a lot of tough catches, and just kept getting open. So there's a lot of positivity when you watch this Giants team, defensively and offensively. We know that they signed Logan Ryan, and it seemed like with a few days they just didn't want to. They didn't trust putting him out there and not knowing enough of the playbook. So I wonder if week 2 he's going to be able to gain enough knowledge and know enough to put him out there and really kind of help this secondary.
That's what I'm excited for.
I'm interested though. Is he playing safety or corner?
Yeah.
Because I'm a little confused. You signed the guy. The guy can play corner, and he would be head and tails better than Corey Ballantyne on the other
absolutely.
side. That's got to be the move, right?
Yeah, you would
I mean,
hope
if
so.
they put him at safety, I think you're limiting what he can accomplish.
Right. We'll see what it is, though. Here he goes. Swervo says, I'm so happy you agree with why Tiki is saying this. LOL, man. Retired because his wife wanted him to. Then tried to come back and was shocked when no one wanted him at an old age. Exactly. And that's the way Tiki has been. I mean,
just
I
bitter.
even listened to him as he's got his own show here and there and stuff like that. And some of the points he makes, I just
Right.
can't be on board with it. I mean, and there's some guys I have not liked as players, but I've listened to them as broadcasters or analysts, and I can follow right along with it. I dig it, But some guys, again, some things the opinions they have are just because they're jaded. Some guys that were pretty good players. MJD is a good one. MJD, I think, was a great player, analyst or whatever. Not very good. He tries to, I think, kind of be like a shocker, like, this really is his
Hot
opinion.
takes.
Which
Hot
he,
takes.
yeah, hot take. It is his opinion. Everybody's open to their own opinion. That's fine. I have my own opinion. If you agree with it, that's fine. If you don't, I don't care. But MJD, some of the things he does and says, like, dude, are you out of your mind? It just doesn't make sense. But
MJD thinks he's the smartest man he knows in his own mind.
yeah, possibly. That's because you played. Like, just because you played the game doesn't mean you know everything. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't mean, and he completely doesn't know anything about any one team.
Yep.
He talks about personnel like he knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about, but really it just comes out like just jargon and absolute trash information. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know how he's on a television shows that he's
NFL?
on.
Yeah, I don't know.
As long as he's been on.
Who knows?
He makes
Who
no
knows
sense.
if ESPN still keeps getting rid of guys? The NFL.com, NFL Network is going to get more. So kind of like our Orlovsky on
Yeah,
ESPN.
true.
Exactly. That is perfect right there. Exactly. I agree with you
That's
there.
a nail on the head.
Orlovsky, same thing. Wouldn't
know.
say he's like the Eagles are better than the Cowboys or this, and they're a top 5 team. Yeah, they look very good last week on that. But again, injuries. You want to talk about a team, though. Again, we're
boy.
just covering through here. We appreciate everybody, checking us out here this week and the interaction. We love it. Recapping some of the games. We're going to move on to some other stuff a little bit. But again, Arizona. We had said this team is going to be up and coming. You got to watch it. Even with the moves that they have made, how are people not understanding this and seeing what's going on here? That they had them on power rankings, which we don't care about power rankings at all, down at
Nope.
like 25th. And you're like, all right, with the moves that they made, the trades,
Total
the defense that
disrespect.
has been there. The San Francisco 49ers, who were just in the Super Bowl, great defense, number 1 rushing attack in the NFL last year. Bam, Arizona goes through in there and takes them down right there.
Yeah,
in
and
San Fran.
An
Shocks the
Arizona
world.
team that has been vastly improved on both sides of the football. I mean, you look at their defense, and what was once a lot of holes in the linebacking core, cornerbacks weren't very strong. Obviously they had Patrick Peterson and Budda Baker as a safety, but weaker everywhere else. The defensive line wasn't as complete. Now they've added 2 D tackles. They added 2 linebackers in the offseason. They drafted a player by the name of Isaiah Simmons, who you could pretty much utilize him in a lot of different positions: safety, linebacker, D end, even slot corner. I know you might laugh at it, but he's very fast, a very big individual, very fluid athlete. He's going to develop into a great defensive player for them. And on the offensive side of the ball, oh my God, did they pull off the almost best trade in the last 10 years? It might be. DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of peanuts and David Johnson. I mean, really, they give up a second, a fourth, and David Johnson just to get one of the best and young, still in his prime, receivers in the NFL. DeAndre Hopkins is now a Cardinal, along with Larry Legend and Fitzgerald, with a young Christian Kirk, with the Andy Isabella. There's a lot of weapons now. You look at that Arizona team. Kyler Murray looks a lot more comfortable in this offense. He's delivering the football to open receivers. And when I say open receivers, I mean DeAndre Hopkins caught the ball 14 times, guys, in week 1 alone. That's incredible. So you know he's going to be using him all season long with all these other weapons around him and Kenyon Drake in the backfield. So they're a team that nobody's talking about right now, and they are going to be dangerous. They might sneak into that spotlight that they so rightfully deserve right now. Good defense, good offense. If they keep playing this way, keep developing and gelling together, later on down the season, we might be talking about the Cardinals running for this division and possibly making a push in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, they were an up-and-coming team that we think is going to do fairly well. And look what they did. They challenged the team that is in their division just like that. Kyler Murray didn't play the best. He threw a lot, 40 passes, only connected on 26, but still that's 65%, had a pick and had a touchdown. But again, they're growing. And with the moves that he can make with his legs, too, you forget about that as well. So I think they can only get better. The weapons that they had was was great. And San Francisco, do you think maybe they're missing Emmanuel Sanders now? Like that, maybe they should have locked him in or something or other. Not having that extra wide receiver there with them as well.
Well, the problem for the 49ers is the guys got hurt early in the season. No Deebo Samuel week one, no rookie Brandon Ayuk, who I'm really high on. I definitely think he's going to make an impact as soon as he's healthy. So if you get those two guys back, that could have been a different ball game. You get two of those receiving weapons, because after that, I mean, let's face it, the receiving core for the Niners does not scare anybody. So a lot of unproven guys. But I will say this, Kendrick Bourne, who's more of like the second to third receiving option, he's a baller. And he got the football quite a few times this week, but it wasn't enough to help the offense push past the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, let's talk about the game that was the game of the week here. Tampa Bay and New Orleans here. Let's hear Swervo and Cody, if he's still out there too as well. What's their take on this one? When we were watching that game, I thought it was tough. I have been a big supporter of Drew Brees, but I think he is losing maybe some arm strength that's affecting his accuracy a little bit. I just noticed with some of his throwing motion, it seems like he's got to really try and push it there. Overall, though, still looks very good. We knew it was going to be a tough game here and there. When Tom Brady marched right down with the Bucs, it looked like they were rocking and rolling that first drive. And you were able to see Jones be able to run along with the ball, nicely too as well. The main back there now. But overall, you got to see a little bit of the rust of Tom Brady too again, so where there's questions about Tom Brady. So what did you think about that matchup, Joe?
I mean, that's really the thing, is we've already known that 2 years ago we called it on the show that Brady is losing it. He's not the same Brady. Doesn't have enough gusto anymore in his arm.
Same thing there
not
too
enough
with him.
Pepper in that throw. So he's going to have some miscues, and we saw that in week one. I will say this though. If you want to put any kind of defense on Brady, he did play a pretty darn good defense. It's not one of the easiest defenses to go up against, especially week one, not having preseason games. I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy,
right?
Because I don't really like Brady, to be quite honest. So this is kind of something that we kind of foreseen, and it's showing on week one. He's going to struggle. I know he's got some great receiving talent to throw to. But these bad decisions are going to happen. You're going to see miscues with him getting the football to them sometimes, and it was no more prevalent than week one. Now let's see if they can kind of combat that. And Bruce Arians, his own head coach, called Brady out in a press conference saying, "Bad decision making. We can't win like that." He just called his quarterback out.
Well,
so,
again, you say it as it is. That's what it is.
And that's what we saw. We saw a Brady that is aging, that isn't as good as he once was. And this is where the argument that a lot of people had, when Brady, the whole talk about Brady is the best quarterback to ever play the game and all this other things, and maybe the best player ever. Guess what? Now you're starting to see, because now that he went to a different team, you're starting to see that potentially maybe he was a system quarterback. Maybe he is not the guy, the all-time guru, greatest quarterback ever, like people once thought he was. Had to learn a new offense, is not really acclimating it well to it, and in the offseason pretty much publicly admitted that he's struggling to learn it.
Yeah, because I think even too, because when the miscue with him and Mike Evans, when he's saying Mike Evans was supposed to go up here and there was a miscue there, wouldn't it be more that was Brady making a mistake there? Because Mike Evans has been in that system. I don't think they changed it too much since Tom Brady's gotten there, and so I think that was more on him. But what's funny is the Saints were able to lock down Mike Evans and really create a lot of friction with him to where he was just out of his game, and we saw a Scotty Miller, kind of eruption here. Him and O.J. Howard sighting as well. Different guys getting a feel of the ball with Brady there now. So we're getting to see maybe just a little bit of, mixing around like he does, like he has in New England, and utilizing every weapon that he has there. So it was pretty interesting to see that unfold.
Tampa Bay is just stocked full of weapons.
And even
we already
their
knew
defense
that.
played very well, too, against the Saints.
The surprising thing was O.J. Howard kind of outperforming Rob Gronkowski. A lot of people thought Rob was coming in, going to be the absolute starter, going to go bonkers in Tampa Bay, and that really wasn't the case in week one. O.J. Howard made a name for himself, said, "Hey, look, I'm still good, everybody. Pay attention." And Brady has been I will give Brady credit in the fact that he's not playing favoritism in this offense. He's not trying to force the ball to Rob Gronkowski. And he's kind of fallen in love with this kid, Scotty Miller, who came out of nowhere this season. Looks like a very tiny Wes Welker-like receiver, and he trusts him completely. So you're starting to see balls go to like Chris Godwin as usual. He tried to get it to Mike Evans, but Marshawn Lattimore literally shut him out of that game. And if that's okay, take this receiver out, take that receiver out. I got my guy Scotty Miller, and O.J. Howard's going to get the ball. So a lot of weapons to go around, and let's see if Tom Brady and this offense can improve it all in week 2.
All right, here, Cody Cook says, I look at the box score after the game, and you see just how he wasn't able to get any of his receivers involved. They had to heavily rely on Kamara to keep the drives going. When he's talking about Drew Brees, what I had said with him pressuring it in there. And, I saw that again, but that Tampa Bay defense was playing very well, too, as well. He was getting pressured. I mean, you saw Jason Pierre-Paul even get a sack here, and so he is feeling it as well.
I feel like if you watched any of that game, you would definitely know that the box score doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it doesn't.
Because really, let's give Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense credit. The Buccaneers defense has not been seen as one of those solid defenses coming into this season, and they're not going to really do anything. It's just going to be Brady's offense versus everyone else. So Buccaneers defense really came up to play. They played amazingly, I think, for the most part against the Saints offense, which is hard to defend enough. And Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara is the biggest part of this offense, especially when Michael Thomas isn't involved. And you saw that this week. You're definitely going to see an increase in snaps and reps going to Emmanuel Sanders now for this upcoming Monday Night Football game. Michael Thomas is no longer – he is most likely he's not going to be active for this game. As much as Michael Thomas is trying to convince the Saints organization, say, no, I can play through it. It's a high ankle sprain. Usually with high ankle sprains, they're just tremendously worse than your normal ankle sprain. A high ankle sprain is very sensitive, and if he re-injures that, it could put him into like a major length of time that he has to sit out. So I think the Saints, if they're smart for Monday Night Football against the Raiders, they rest him right now because it's a long season. Right. They got a long season, and they do have enough weapons to beat the Raiders. It's not like they're in any short supply. Alvin Kamara gets the ball a lot. Latavius Murray runs hard. Their tight ends and Jared Cook and Emmanuel Sanders now on this team. It's really like they kind of almost don't lose anything there. So I have full confidence that the Saints will make the right decision, and we won't see any miscues at all.
Yeah, that's definitely a solid team, and that's what you're going to see. I think this season got, again, a team that has played together for years, really showing how well they can play. And looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's kind of stacked here, had some extra players in here, some guys that have been playing together, and gelling together. I mean, now you see even Devin White was playing great for them this past week, and it wasn't just all like Shaquille Barrett, who was unloading last year, and Levante David, who seemed he was carrying this team since he's been there. So now a mix of everybody working together. Again, if they can limit some of the mistakes to miscues that they had, jumping off sides here and there. There was a few times where they got it too excited, jumped off and handing the Saints first downs, and you can't do things like that with
you might not know the cornerbacks right now, but you're going to get to know their names by the end of the season because they are solid corners. They're pretty good.
Definitely. All right, Swervo says, Tom looked amazing in the first drive, but after you can see a lot of the chemistry issues, Mike Evans being one, but I honestly think without preseason, he looks good, stepping stone team. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people want to crown him already, but just because, again, you see the talent that they have, who knows? They could. Again, you've got a long season to work through it, and you never know this year. And he says, I always think the Saints look good. Drew will do him and his young back and wide receiver core. I'm impressed with how Brees came out and completed the game. Yeah, definitely. Again, there was times where it looked like he was struggling times, but kept it together, kept his composure. And Alvin Kamara, again, it looked like at times, too, that he did kind of save them, was a bit of a savior for them. And Sean Payton calling some of the calls that he did, too, keeping the Bucs on their toes at times. One play I did not like, though, when it was third quarter, it was like a fourth down conversion, and you go empty back, in empty backfield and just Taysom Hill. I'm thinking already, if I'm a defense, I'm like, yo, he's taking this and he's running. I don't think he's throwing it. You know what I mean? And boom, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Snap the ball. He had nowhere to go. Bam, down.
And that's the other thing that I'm interested to see is like as we get farther along the season, will they change that up and have him throw the football? Because he
they
does
did in
have
that game too.
to a
But it
guy who's,
wasn't
like,
a direct snap.
Not even defended.
Oh, I know,
Yeah, it was-
and that's
guy-
how that was
anybody
a
can
great
make that
play,
throw.
though. That's what I mean. You bring him on the outside, and they kind of throw a screen pass to him or a back kind of pitch, and then he makes the throw.
But for the
That's effective.
yeah, you need to see more evidence if he could actually play the quarterback position because
Right.
I know they
I
have
don't think
Jameis
it's
Winston.
possible.
And I know that Taysom Hill is an option possibly to kind of carry the torch after Drew Brees calls it quits. But you need to see more evidence if this guy can actually be the quarterback or not. Right now he's kind of like a little toy, that they keep playing with. Where he's going to run the ball, he's going to catch the ball. Sometimes he throws the ball. What exactly is he? Is he just that unique little piece that they're going to have installed in their offense, or can he become that future QB?
Oh, and I don't know about that again because we shared a video that the Saints had put out on our group, our football group here on Facebook, and there's a little thing that the Saints do in practice where they do the tackling dummies and they put cones on top of the tackling dummies, and all the quarterbacks, even some of the coaches, throw at the cones and try and see how many cones they can hit. And Taysom Hill was struggling in that drill.
Well, I don't even know if he was in that.
He was in that drill.
It was a lot of like staff people and Drew
Here,
Brees.
there, and Drew Brees, but no, all the three quarterbacks.
I don't remember. I don't
yep,
remember.
and then a couple even defenders took a stab at it. They tried it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But even the coach was the one that won it. The
Yeah.
offensive line, offensive coordinator though, which is funny. So, but it was really interesting for them. And let's just take one look quick here, I guess, at the Patriots game. Then we'll move on from these guys from this week. But the New England Patriots, they pull out the victory at home. We thought they were kind of going to do that, or at least I did. And in the Miami, they kind of underwhelmed, I think, in a bit too, because we saw a lot of moves that they made with all the draft picks that they had, that they would play a little better. Ryan Fitzpatrick, especially here at the helm, starting over Tua. So now how quick is that ticking clock going before they bring Tua in? And what was Cam Newton going to do? Well, we saw that they went all read option kind of with this guy. Basically a lot of run-ins with him as well.
One of the most boring games to watch.
It was tough. So
it was painful,
And
actually.
again, how with the injuries that he is known to have, how well is he going to fare if they keep doing this week in and week out?
Not very well. I mean, here's the thing. Eventually Cam Newton is going to get hurt. That's really what's going to come down to
And we're
it.
going to see
the guy
Jarrett
isn't the
Stidham.
most healthiest quarterback ever. He's aging, and you're still having him run the football. Listen, the Patriots know exactly what we already did know as fans. Cam Newton can't be a pure quarterback. He's got to be some kind of a gimmick guy. He's got to be able to run the ball and then create that kind of uncertainty on the defense. Say, hey, do we play the run or do we actually play the pass? We don't really know what to do. It adds confusion, and then that's why Cam Newton is so successful a lot of times, because more teams are worried about the run more than the pass, and then just when you think he's going to run, he doesn't run, and then he just kind of throws a 5-yard pass, and that's how they keep moving the chains. But eventually, Cam Newton's going to take a couple of hard hits. Maybe it's the first one, maybe it's the fifth one. But eventually he might break down and get hurt yet again, be done for the year, and then that investment that the Patriots made goes by the wayside.
Right, and the stats that you look at for him, again, 15 for 19. He only threw 19 times,
which is
and
nothing.
they weren't very big, deep plays here and there.
And they
you know what I'm
ran
saying?
a lot. What was the Dolphins' defensive
That's
coordinator? What was the D
main
coordinator looking
thing
at
is on this? Yes,
it's almost like you're like, oh, we already got the blueprint from last season. We got the blueprint. We know how to beat these guys. They're going to throw the ball short. We're going to play that. And wait, Cam runs the ball? What? Mm-hmm. Wait a second. I thought they pass a lot. Wait, no. I don't know what to do now. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Make adjustments halfway through the game. I mean, it shouldn't even have taken half of the game. You should have made adjustments. You should have started playing just the run. Shut the run down. You shut the running backs down. You shut Cam Newton running the ball down, and make him throw. That's where his weakest points are. Make him become a pocket quarterback.
Yep. So we'll see moving forward with the New England Patriots again. I think
And Dolphins, get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly. If you got a team where most of their starters, defense, are sitting out for COVID and other reasons, and you still have the number 2 ranked defense after week 1, there's a problem there, especially with some of the weapons that you have there and what you should be able to do after getting all those picks. Swervo says zone blitz. LOL. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh man.
All right. So let's move on to. There's a lot of not exactly controversy, I guess is the word, even though I put that up there. A lot of people noticed this on TV. A lot of the coaches weren't wearing the face masks here. We're dealing with the pandemic here. And no matter what, a lot of people have different opinions on this and everything and how to handle it. Joe and I aren't wearing masks right now. We're fairly far apart here and there, but we literally see each other a lot here to where, my wife questions it and stuff like that sometimes. But we're there all the time. We work with each other and all kinds of stuff. But when we're out in public, we do our due diligence and wear our masks. Mm-hmm. People have an issue now, especially the NFL now. They've come out and said, listen, we're going to penalize you. We're going to fine you now if you do this here. If you do not wear your mask, you need to be following our protocols and doing this.
And it's all on the sidelines. There was a large number of coaches, and not just head coaches, just coaches in general, that were just literally like not wearing – they were wearing the face mask technically around their ears, but not – having it covering their faces. So the NFL has seen all the games. They've seen the sidelines enough to where they're like, wait a second. They're basically threatening coaches. Now they're going to fine them if they take those face masks off or pull them down or whatever. The issue I have with all this is that these teams, these organizations, the staff, the players, they're all getting tested. They're all being tested for COVID. As long as they all pass the tests, there shouldn't be a real concern. I mean, the players especially, are you kidding me? The players have been, listen, the one thing was that the NFL came out before the season even started. They said, hey, no more jersey swapping, guys. We don't want you guys close to each other. No jersey swapping. We don't want you to pass your sweat onto the other guy, all that kind of jazz. Guess what? It doesn't freaking matter. That rule doesn't apply because the players are high-fiving each other after the game. They're hugging each other just like they normally did. They have conversations at the end of the game. Where are you going for dinner tonight? I don't know. I'm thinking about going to Oscars. But I got bronchitis. It's just absolutely ridiculous. For now, you're gonna drop the hammer down on the coaches? Seriously? I kind of disagree with this because to me, I think this is going way too far. Listen, you want to wear face masks when you're coming outside, walking into the stadium, get set up in the locker room, and then when you're out in the elements, when you're out there with everyone that is already okay, it doesn't make sense why now you're going to start finding coaches. If you're going to do that, you might as well have the football players wear their face masks when they're on the sidelines with their helmets off. Because if you're not going to do that, what's the difference right now? And I don't know. I don't know if anybody, for the people that have played football, for the people that have been on the sidelines, you kind of get the point when it's hot out, and now you're putting a face mask over you, which is inhibiting your breathing half the time. You're not going to keep it on very long.
Yeah.
Just not. So
exactly.
I think the NFL is going a little too extreme now. I understand they're trying to make a strong emphasis like, hey, look, we're safety first. But I just think that it's a little too extreme. I think they need to kind of relax that rule, especially when they're already in the building, on the sidelines. They've been around each other for months now. So, now, all of a sudden, now you're going to start finding coaches?
All right, Swervo, he's saying he's going to bed, loves the show. See ya, Swervo. It's a pleasure. He says, I agree,
Swervo.
Coaches know what they're doing, especially some coaches like Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera, and what he's been dealing with, too, with the cancer and everything. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Swervo. See you
Swervo,
next week, buddy.
definitely good seeing you there and chiming in and everything and all of it. We appreciate it. I hear you. Like, I kind of see where they're coming from. Again, this is visually something that they don't want on television. Again, we're fighting this COVID thing. We aren't able to have a bubble. This is what we have. And I could see it's going to relax too. When you get on there and you're on the football field, you're showing up. Everybody has their mask on.
Right.
And as the game goes, you got to do more talking and you're used to it.
Right.
But I think some guys like Sean Payton, he just didn't care at all. He had a gaiter, not so much of a mask, but a gaiter.
Yeah.
He barely had it on. I think one point he noticed, he's like, oh, wait, I should probably put this on. And then instantly when they pan back over to him, it's back off again. Yeah. So it's tough. Again, they're trying to follow protocols, trying to look, the part too as well. But I know what you're saying too as well. Like we kind of said here, we work with each other all the time. Yeah. When I go to work and hang out with my coworkers, I'm not wearing a mask next to them all the time. Right. I'm with them day in and day out. Yeah. We're not wearing masks with each other. We could keep as distant as we can or whatever, but you have to work together. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. But when we leave, we are responsible adults and doing our human thing and taking care of one another and everybody else out there in the world, following the protocols, wearing our mask, washing our hands, not touching our face, all this other stuff. We do that when we're out in public. But when we're together here, showing up for work, I don't think that should be that much of a big deal to
No, should not.
There you go. If NFL wants to fine him, we'll see what happens, what kind of fines
NFL,
do get levied.
you want to fine me? Fine me.
Moving forward, so yeah, we'll see what happens there. But all right, here you go. Now it's time for In the Know fact of the day, Joe. All right, and it's close enough to the date. Tomorrow's the 17th, but I thought this was a nice little
close
fact
enough.
here. On September 17th of 1920, the American Professional Football Association, later renamed the National Football League in 1922, was formed in Canton, Ohio, and that is why the Hall of Fame is there. So there you go. That's when it happened, September 17th, 1920. American Football League.
And it's funny that you mention that because they're the top two candidates going into the Hall of Fame. I'm telling you, Calvin Johnson and Peyton Manning.
Manning.
Are you kidding me?
In.
First ballot. There's no way those two guys don't get into the Hall of Fame first ballot.
Mm-hmm.
It would be absolute blasphemy if they do any other way. If they go any other direction.
Did they didn't deal with the Hall of Fame this year with the COVID and everything that was going on. Did they? They didn't strike with any of that, did it, this year?
What's that?
When they did the Hall of Fame ceremonies for this past generation?
No.
Yeah, we didn't have to deal with that yet, right? Because that COVID was just starting to stir up, right?
No, it wasn't even a thing yet.
So this will be interesting, I think, moving forward if we're still dealing with this when it happens.
They might not have
what they're
people
gonna be doing.
visiting the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But they're still going to have like the ceremonies and all that.
Yeah,
kind
they
of
might
thing.
have to do more virtual or something like that, possibly. So I mean, that would
you
be
watch it on
interesting
TV.
moving forward with everything.
I mean, that's what you can do.
Yeah. All right. Swervo says here before he goes to bed, he says, "I just think we all agree that Andy Reid looked." I just spit. Oh,
Andy Reid looked ridiculous with the foggy
windshield.
Absolutely. And here's the funny thing:
I spit on my screen.
Well, it was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I will watch something.
But yeah, didn't he look ridiculous? He couldn't even see by halftime. Like, it was that fogged up and everything. And I'm like, dude, take it off. Stop it.
Why didn't somebody give him a towel?
And there was a time they wiped it off. It just keeps fogging right back up.
Man.
So the thing is you saw towards like third quarter, maybe even the beginning of the fourth, he literally had his hat tilted up with the face shield just sticking out like this.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, it's about time. Like, now you can see. Imagine that. So, I mean, I understand he didn't want to wear a face mask probably, so that was an alternative that he could do, but it looked absolutely ridiculous. It had to be hard to see his plays.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so maybe he was just randomly picking
he has Eric Bieniemy for that one, though, too. So, it was.
You might have had Eric next to him, but like, Eric, what am I looking at here?
Yeah.
Which one is this?
Yeah, it was. It was funny. Again, like he said, he tilted it up. He kind of looked like the way, a welder's helmet was. And
exactly.
he talked to the ref, but at least him, though, too, when he talked to the ref, he's like, yeah, well, this. I had to shut it back down again. Here we go. I gotta keep this down.
Just absolutely crazy. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's a long
Swervo.
season. We're going to see what happens with all that.
He
and
does.
Now,
I agree, Swervo.
He needs windshield
wipers on his mask.
Or Rain-X. Put the Rain-X on there. See if that would do it.
Maybe you should try that.
Some kind of defogger wipe.
Absolutely.
They
Swervo, really appreciate your comments. Anybody that's hopped in, maybe you haven't commented yet, feel free to do so. We'll talk about anything. Fantasy, your team. Anything football related, we're here to talk about it. Go ahead and drop those conversations, those questions, anything. And if you're new to the program, go ahead. You can follow us on Twitter for our updated news at FB_no. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Football on the No Show, as well as YouTube. And make sure if you go to YouTube, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for all our latest and greatest updated content. really appreciate you
There
guys.
you go. Hit
Thank
it
you.
all up. Definitely. We appreciate it out there. All right, Joe. So it's time. It's time to do our picks. You know, we've done this for the past couple of years now.
We have.
We used to do it with, we would pick them together. Then we started our little competition. It's been really exciting, really fun, and stressful too, man. It's tough going against this guy every week, man.
Oh,
It's
stop
rough.
it. It's not.
It really is. It is nuts. And you don't know what to pick sometimes. But
No,
so far,
like this week. I'll tell
here
you
we
right
go.
now, the
Oh, I know.
first half of this week is tough. They're tough calls. They
Yeah.
could go either way.
Yeah, definitely. So let's look at the standings so far after week 1. Joe takes an early lead here by 1. He's 10-6. I'm 9-7.
It's short-lived.
It is.
Believe
we'll
me,
see.
everybody.
We'll see. We're feeling it out here still. These teams are all up and down.
I'm gonna go crazy
who's who.
pretty soon. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go,
go.
out on an olive branch and start picking random, not so good picks.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It really does.
Go crazy.
Ah!
Go stupid.
Ah!
Go crazy.
Ah!
Go stupid.
Yeah. Go crazy.
Go crazy.
That's what's gonna happen. We're getting into this.
Exactly.
All right, we
All
got
right.
the first game
All
we
right,
got is the
first game.
Cincinnati
It's an
Bengals
exciting
at.
Thursday game like they always give us, right, Joe?
It's tomorrow night, everybody.
It's tomorrow night. We got Cincinnati
yeah.
Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland at home in the dog pound. Are they
sir.
going to have any fans there? I don't think so, right? I mean, again, some of these teams are going to try and start to bring
There's
fans
very
in here.
few that are
Well,
having fans. Oh, by the way, the Cowboys have just announced that they will have fans at their home game. They're going to have 25%
25%.
of their total crowd
Okay.
there at Big D.
They must have thought that was the reason why they lost. They didn't have all
Yeah,
the
they just
fans
didn't have any moral
That's what
support.
it was. It wasn't
That's really
Dak
what it was.
Prescott or
So when you
anything.
have 20,000, that makes the world of difference to them.
Oh, Cody. Cody had to bring up his little thing. That's right. Cody was
Good
on our
for you,
show
Cody.
last week. Cody was on our
Good for
show.
you.
If you guys didn't know, so he's saying that here he's 11-5.
Congratulations.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Yes.
This is the coolest thing I have ever
That's
seen.
right. That's right. Yes, it was awesome. Yeah. All right.
Proud of
Good
you.
job, Cody.
Proud of you, Cody. Proud of you.
I know he had to be out there, So all right, yeah, Cody did good last week too. Again, it was a lot of ups and downs. We all picked a
Sir.
bunch of different ones though too.
Yeah, there was a
crazy
few
the way it
different
happened.
games that we had. Yep.
Absolutely. That Detroit game really let me down. I
Oh
thought
man,
Detroit was
dude!
gonna have-
I thought Detroit had it won. What the hell happened?
Mitch Trubisky got it together.
I watched that comeback and I'm like, what is Detroit doing? I'll tell you what they were doing. They just weren't playing to win. That's really what. What was?
They're like, wait a minute, we're
I don't-
Detroit. We have to lose this game.
I don't understand how they just kind of went into a shell and just let Chicago come back. They had a huge lead.
Yep, absolutely.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Well
It
said,
did.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's focus here on Cincinnati
What we
and
got?
Cleveland. I think it was Swervo. He said he has the Bengals.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Yep.
Seems like too every time I believe in the Bengals, they're there or I pick them, they lose.
Right.
So I think they're gonna win this game, but I might just pick the Browns just because that way that's the way it will happen. The Cincinnati Bengals will win. The Cincinnati Bengals will win, and it'll just continue on.
I appreciate that.
What do you think, Joe? What do you got here?
So
for
here's
this
the thing. This is one of those really difficult picks for me because we've already seen the Browns not hit on all cylinders. They're struggling on offense. And I didn't get to see hardly any of that game, so I really can't critique it as much as I want to. But I know the Browns have a solid defense. However, that defense is banged up. They are not going to have Greedy Williams, who's the starting corner opposite Denzel Ward, so that's a little concerning to me. Yes, the Browns are definitely going to have Myles Garrett. He's going to be coming after Joe Burrow, kind of making his life miserable. But I just feel like, and the Bengals defense kind of is getting overshadowed a little bit here. They have two really good corners. They have a solid defense overall. I still think they're pretty weak at the linebacking core. But all in all, what I saw from Joe Burrow last week, I really did like. He didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. It was just more of his offensive line not protecting too well for him. But I feel like after another week of preparation and going up against the team that's struggling a little bit, I'm going to go with the young rookie in this one. I'm going to go opposite you there, Jim, and I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals this week just because you went with the Browns. How do you
Oh,
like
really? Because I was even going to say, no, I really wanted the Bengals, so I think I was going to go with the Bengals.
Oh, are you going to actually do that?
I think
Oh,
I was going to
okay.
actually go with the Bengals. Do you
All
want
right.
to switch again or no?
No, I
all
already
right.
marked it.
Yeah,
marked
I
it.
want to go with the Bengals. I really do. I mean, I was just joking. And again, like I'm saying, every time it seems like I pick them,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're going to.
Yeah, and
but
that's-
again,
is-
Cleveland Browns, what
Right.
I've been hearing again, they just can't connect, and I just don't think they're going to play well
But one
here.
thing that the Browns can do to help themselves, they got to run the ball more.
Yeah.
If they can run the ball more, I feel like that'll help their offense gain some momentum, and they'll be able to distribute the ball a little bit better. And let's see what happens with these two defenses clashing. So, yeah. But Cody just mentioned, Cody says he's got the Bengals. I like what I saw from Joe Burrow, and I'm still not a Baker fan at this point. Hashtag one year wonder. Swervo also said, I agree with Cody 100%.
Baker has looked awful.
Baker
since
has
year
looked
one.
awful.
Yep, there you go. See, that's what I like about the interaction here. With
But here's
the
the
two
thing that I'll
guys
say
going here.
is I feel like this is a big indicator. Like there's some times that I see Baker play and he makes some great throws or makes a great decision and it makes a great play. I really think that this Cleveland Browns offensive line, as much as they've improved it, it's still a little shaky. And I just can't pinpoint what they have to do next. Is it the interior of the O-line that's kind of failing them at this point? Is it the young Tristan Wirfs? By the way, he got hurt in this past week's game. We got to monitor that, make sure he's playing in this one. If that's the case, maybe they will do a little bit better. And other than that, you got the Bengals. I do agree with you guys in terms of liking what Joe Burrow, what we saw from him and everything. And I think, but in that Bengals game last week, you notice a couple of mistakes, not by Burrow really, but by the wide receiver, like AJ Green, who's a veteran with that offensive pass interference that kind of really killed that winning drive. And then to top it all off, their field goal kicker, no matter who it is, still can't make field goals and ended up hurting himself in the process. So let's see if Bullock comes back to be able to kick for them as quick as tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know they grabbed another kicker, so let's see what goes.
Yeah, the
forward.
kicker they grabbed, by the way, is from the Browns.
Yeah,
Browns just released
Yeah,
them.
they're right here.
And
Maybe he'll give us the inside information.
He's
on the
going to
team,
give us
maybe.
the
I don't know.
intel on how to kick a field goal.
All right, next up, we've got the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. Bears, again, I didn't think we're going to win last week. They end up coming back, from being down by a lot, but what are they going to be this week? What is Mitch Trubisky going to be this week? He's up and down, tail of two halves. New York Giants, they played the Steelers tough. Again, they're a team in kind of build mode. I'm still feeling them out. If this offensive line can play better, but again, this Chicago defense here, just at least on the fronts again, I still think they are a threat to this New York Giants offensive line. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's hard for me to gauge because after what we just witnessed from Detroit, they kind of really poured it on early, and then it seemed like the Bears caught up with them in terms of X's and O's and figured the Detroit lines out, and then completely turned the corner. Chicago, I know it doesn't matter, but they're home. Maybe the very least it's because they get to sleep in their own beds and they'll feel more comfortable. But the Bears defense is really no joke. I'm kind of surprised what Detroit was able to do to them. But with the Giants, with an upcoming Giants team that I really do like the direction they're going. I like what I see. And the Bears defense against this offensive line, it's still kind of in the making. Cameron, was it Fleming or Irving? Cameron Irving?
Yeah.
For
the right
Giants.
Yeah, Fleming.
He's atrocious.
I know.
He just
and they grabbed him from the Dallas Cowboys.
He's absolutely atrocious, and there's a reason why he was available.
Exactly.
But I do like what I saw from Andrew Thomas. He's just got to clean up a couple of mental things, and that will be addressed with Joe Judge
Plus, you
at
got
the
a
helm.
tackle playing center right now too.
Right, which I don't understand the logic behind that.
I don't know either.
We'll
Especially
see,
when
we'll
they
see.
grabbed John Jalapio here, and he was still out there.
He didn't make the roster.
He didn't make the roster,
Which was
Why?
surprising.
How? I just don't
And then-
get that. I thought he played well.
And then on top of that, they offered him a practice squad position, and he was like, "No, I'm a
good.
starter. I'm going to."
Which he
go to
probably
a
should
different
be
team."
right now.
So, nonetheless, Giants, they're an improved team. I like what I see from them, but Chicago, I think that I feel like this is going to be a bounce back week for this defense, and Mitch Trubisky still kind of feeling out with his offensive weapons and everything, maybe they'll be able to hit on all cylinders from the beginning to the end. I myself, too, am going with Chicago.
Swervo says, I honestly think Baker's a good quarterback, just not a great one. He's not gonna be the guy making clutch passes and stuff like that, but can move the ball and get points on the board.
But that's the thing. I beg to differ on that because we've seen highlights of him making clutch plays, being that playmaker that he was at Oklahoma. Now with this Cleveland Browns team, the biggest problem, especially last year, which is the decline in play that he had, was because his offensive line was absolutely terrible. And now they added a couple of pieces, but is that enough? It doesn't look like it is, or maybe it's just this offense that they got to adapt to. We'll find that answer out as we get later on into the season.
Oh, Cody's dropping it down here. He says, I think we will see old Trubisky, multiple interceptions, helping the Giants win by 3 or 6 points in the end. There you go. He's picking the Giants on this one.
That's okay.
All right, we'll see. The way I look at it too, because I am a Giants fan. I know a lot of people know that. And Swervo knows that.
I can't tell by your shirt.
I will pick against the Giants. But if they happen to win, I'm still happy if I didn't pick it right. Like the Cowboys. I will pick the Cowboys to win in certain games, like last week. But if they lost, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I can find peace in that. So that's the way football is.
Swervo Gaming just chimed in. He goes, Bears win by 13.
Watch. Boom. He's going to do it. There you go. Let's see it. Let's see the matchup. We'll get back to you next week on it. All right. Speaking of Dallas, now they're going to be playing at home here against Atlanta Falcons again. Couldn't pull off a win last week against they get embarrassed a bit by the Seattle Seahawks here. Russell Wilson, again, he's got to be in the MVP.
They're a different breed.
Again, the
Seahawks are a different breed.
So here we go. Are they going to get some things switched around? They have injuries of their own, too. Leighton Vander Esch cannot stay healthy as well.
He's out for at least probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and that is a major part that they're going to be missing here. Joe, what do you think so far about the Dallas Cowboys here? Are they going to turn it around here against an Atlanta Falcons team?
Yeah, something I noticed about Dallas last week is they weren't very good on defense. Surprisingly, even with the additions of Everson Griffin and Leighton Vander Esch was healthy again and all these things, you also look at their secondary, which it's not abysmal, but it looked abysmal. Like talent-wise, I feel like they're okay. They're pretty good. It's just I don't know what happened, what kind of Kool-Aid they drank before the flight, but something happened for the Dallas Cowboys, and it looked horrendous on the football field. The Rams' offense kind of really put it to them. They were able to run the ball up and down the field against this defense and also throw the ball. Bobby Trees, a.k.a. Robert Woods, kind of went off.
Yeah.
He caught a lot of balls. Cooper Kupp had his fair share. And Higbee, at tight end, he kind of made his presence known. And the Rams kind of just took it to them. I mean, flat out. So in this contest, I'm a little worried. I'm not worried about Dallas's offense. I feel like Zeke's running really strong. He actually looks even better and more impressive this year than any other. And I feel like with the addition of rookie CeeDee Lamb and you have Gallup on one side, Cooper on the other, this offense in whole is pretty good and pretty stout going forward. I like what I see on offense. Defense looked terrible. And you have an Atlanta football team now that's coming in for, get this, 3 receivers. That's right, 3. They had Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Russell Gage all have 12 passing attempts thrown to them. And all 3 of them caught 9 footballs, had 100 yards each. I mean, the product is in the pudding in terms of their passing offense is very powerful. So, not to mention Todd Gurley's debut was last week. He did well. He had 14 carries, almost had 100 yards, and had some catches out of the backfield, which really helped that offense, but not enough to score enough points. Atlanta, I feel like if this is going to be anything, Atlanta will continue to put up points, and I feel like by the second half, third quarter even, Dallas is going to have a hard time. Now, we already know that Dallas is more of a running team and more of like they're not a comeback from behind team. I feel like Atlanta against the Cowboys defense is going to rack up points and keep racking up points, and if the Cowboys can't match it, which I think is where they're going to fall off, I feel like Atlanta's going to pull away with an upset win here.
All right, here he says goes with Atlanta. Swervo says, I can't go to bed. I like this show too much.
I like you.
Really appreciate that.
You have balls. I like balls.
There you go, Swervo. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Before we get to Cody's comment, I'm going to go to Swervo here. He says, would you start Jackson in the league or no?
I will say
Deshaun
no.
Jackson.
I don't. He's
wouldn't either.
banged up as it is. Like he played week 1, but he's banged up. I'm just not sure if he's no longer really the focal point. He's just seen as a deep threat. And with Carson Wentz, and that offensive line is not going to give him enough time, I feel, to be able to make those deep throws. I would if you're talking about an Eagles receiver, I would definitely go with the rookie and Jalen Reagor, healthy, a guy who kind of made a small impact. He only had 1 catch, I get it, but nonetheless, it seems like the tight end show.
Yeah,
like
basically, they're tight ends.
If
yeah.
you have Dallas Goedert, or Zach Ertz, you're in pretty good standing with the Eagles. But any other receiver, it's hard to trust them.
Right. Cody says, I'm going for the upset here. Last week, the Atlanta offense was dominating, and I see them dominating this banged-up Dallas defense. I don't think the Cowboys offense will be able to keep up, and this could end up being a hard game to watch in the end.
Unless you're a Falcon fan.
Unless you're a Falcon fan. Yeah, there you go. I think I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons here as well. Again, just like I said, the Dallas offense, despite the weapons, again, sputtering here and there. Some of it, I think, was even a play by some of the offensive linemen. Wasn't very good. But, again, Dak Prescott missing some throws here and there. And then screens, like little swing screens, just completely just missing it. When he's not even being pressured. Seems like he sits back there, looks, and just goes, spoof. And you're like, what was that? He can give you a spot where it's on point, like that pass. He's like Trubisky sometimes. Give you that pass like to Michael Gallup where it's right where it needs to be, but then all of a sudden gives you a doink. And you're like, what the hell is that, dude? So I think I'm going to go with
really
it here
worth
too.
$40 million.
And like I said, having the injuries there and Leighton Vander Esch, I think stats have shown when he's not even in there, they are in trouble. And I think their other middle linebacker just can't get it all done himself.
Jalen Smith, no. I mean, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And
he played well. But,
he did. But he's got to have help.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Swervo says, what do you think about the Giants tight end? Start one or no? No. I'll give you a say no right away.
It's a little too confusing. It seems like the tight ends is more like a, it's like a musical chairs match.
Right.
It seems like they don't have one guy they just like to put out there. Like Evan Ingram isn't out there for all the snaps. You got Evan Ingram, and then all of a sudden they rotate out. And who's the new guy that they got? I saw him involved in the passing game from time in time out, but he looked actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember his name off the top of my head.
I'll have to look it up quick. No.
It's no big deal.
Just look it up quick.
But I mean, he played really good. Well, so I mean, that's the thing is it looks more like a share, a tight end share, for the Giants.
Caden
Smith.
Yep.
So it looks like you can't really rely too much on one or the other. Listen, Ingram is the receiving weapon, but he dropped a couple of balls last week. He wasn't the most solid and sure of hands this past week. So take that and kind of go run with it as you will. But Evan Ingram is the more explosive tight end. But I just feel like you can't count on any one.
They also made some plays to Toilolo that's out there too. He might be talking about Toilolo.
Third receiver.
Yeah,
option.
Toilolo made some catches too. So maybe he's talking about him. Who, we've seen him
Only
before
two.
play.
Yeah.
And other teams. But.
The tallest tight end, it seems like, in football, but he just...
But, again, I would just avoid him altogether because, again, Darius Slayton, you're going to see him get, chew up a bunch of the catches.
If you had to pick one, you take the upside with Evan Ingram.
But you're going to deal with some of the drop passes that he has a lot of times, though, too. So, it is what it is. What I was excited about, too, with that game is Marcus Golden right in there getting pressure. A guy that nobody wanted was out there. To where by contractor-wise,
well, nobody could go after him.
Yeah, had to go.
The Giants still had the rights to him.
Go. Yep. So, but he ends up making plays for him still. So imagine that. Yeah, so there's some fantasy questions. Yeah, anybody else has any fantasy questions out there? Swervo loves it. He's out there. Our man Stephen Likings, too, if he shows up again in the show, he was big on fantasy, and he won a couple leagues last year.
Right.
I think Swervo had said, I missed over his comment. He said that we should get a fantasy thing going one year, Football in the Know fantasy.
That's right.
And everybody keeps saying this again. And it's mainly because of me, Swervo. I'll say it right now. It's my fault that we don't do this. It's because I will not do a fantasy league.
He hates fantasy.
No, yeah. So
I don't understand why.
I just won't do it. So I got to ruin it for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to play, so I have to take the ball. You know what I'm saying? But I think overall, if you look at it, it would be cool because, in a sense, like say we get Tom Leiter, who is one of our friends that runs like another football group on Facebook that has like 12 to 20,000 members or something like that, or maybe even like 50,000 now. It's a big.
Yeah, it's 50,000.
Yeah, 50,000. Our buddy Ty Hedgecock, who runs another football group, who has like 12 to 13,000. And
NFL
maybe even
fantasy.
John. We'll get John involved with the football world discussion. I mean, that's just for entertainment-wise, though, too.
Hilarious.
I mean, I can see the entertainment value in this thing and have us do like a Zoom chat, like a draft or something like that. I can see the entertainment value in that, and it would be pretty cool, I think. But I don't know. It's a hard hurdle for me to get over personally. Who knows? Maybe next year or in the future. I don't know. All right, so let's move forward. Let's look at Detroit and Green Bay. Green Bay, I wasn't sure about their offense last year, so that's why I didn't go with them because in the playoffs we saw them get completely shut down. Yeah. They were a team during the season to where their defense looked really great. You had the Smith and Smith team, lawyers looking at you. Here is Zarius Smith, Preston Smith, bam.
Yep.
Here they come. And then they tapered off a little bit here, too, and that offense was working and meshing. And even despite having a super great record here and taking the division, I was still a little skeptical. It was up and down with this team. It seemed like Aaron Rodgers wasn't really clicking with his head coach. Like maybe they're butting heads too much. But he shut it all down. Wait, here he goes. What did he say? Elroy, he can be the impartial who can announce it. Because he's not in. I was thinking that too. I could be the guy. I could be there and be like, all right,
commissioner.
With the next pick, this guy selects here.
You could be the
I was going to
commissioner
say,
that announces
I'll
it.
run the league. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll be the commissioner and set the rules.
You can announce the pick, each pick, and be like, oh, we have
Perhaps.
Swervo Gaming with the second pick of the 2020
and I'll
Football
do
on
the
the No
little
draft.
things. Yeah.
He has selected quarterback Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and then I'll do like little sounders or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Coolest thing I have ever seen.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
would be
Yeah,
fun.
and
That
then
would
when
be
everybody
fun.
gets one and then it sucks, and I'm like, oh,
There we
don't
go.
fail me again. All right,
We'll
so
see.
Green Bay at home with Detroit here. Detroit
This is a tough
played
game.
really hard, and that's what I'm saying. They should have probably won that game. Their defense, is struggling a little bit without Darius Slay, but they still played well. Jamie Collins, they didn't have him for most of the game because of a stupid bonehead mistake here to where they even threw him out. But you could have just said it. Why did you have to act it out?
I gotta say this. I mean, you say bonehead play. The guy was demonstrating
I
what
know,
the player
but-
did to him.
I know,
It was
but-
absolutely ridiculous. Come on, refs.
Oh, I
You
know.
knew
but
he was explaining to you, and you still kicked him out of the game. Come
you
on.
did this, man.
Absolutely ridiculous, and that's why his appeal he got it lifted, and he's not getting suspended. So I just think that was absolutely completely wrong. It was just I just can't. I don't even have words for it. Just absolutely appalled by it.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, but So,
But he's back this
But
week.
he's back, so I think it's going to be Detroit is going to try and play hard here against Aaron Rodgers. He always does. But I think I'm going to side with Green Bay on this one now. But watch them lose this time, just because I decided to pick them this time.
And this was
But Aaron Rodgers looks good. His
Yeah.
wide receivers look good.
Yeah. I
Go
feel
ahead.
like this is one, if not the hardest game to pick this week because we've seen pros and cons for both teams. Green Bay's defense, which I thought was a strength going into the season, didn't look so much in week one. And we've seen almost like a turning point for Aaron Rodgers this past week. Really kind of lit it up. Devontae Adams, he was thrown to him as easy. And Alan Lazard, a guy that we've kind of pushed to the forefront with this offense, saying, hey, they didn't add any weapons. Well, guess what? Alan Lazard, they said, we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. This could be the guy that is the go-to person opposite Adams, and it is. So he's going to be playing. He's going to be killing it, I feel, with this team. This, to me, is a shootout all the way. We've seen Detroit kind of struggle a little bit down the stretch against Chicago. I feel like this is going to go back and forth. This is a shootout completely. Green Bay's defense, not buying into it anymore. I feel like they're really weak in that. Detroit, I thought that their offense was going to maybe kind of trip over their feet a little bit in week one. But and then here's the other key thing is the Lions last week did not have Kenny Galladay. their number one receiver. Looks like they're going to probably get him back this week. I think that's going to be a major impact for this offense. And with this trio of running backs, Adrian Peterson,
How funny
Darius
was that?
Swift, and what?
That Adrian Peterson just joining the team was such a bigger part of that offense.
It's a running back position, bro. Anybody can hop in and run the ball.
Well, then why wasn't Leonard Fournette like a bigger part of the Tampa Bay offense?
Because he literally got signed 2 days before the season started. It wasn't enough time.
Well, I don't think Adrian Peterson was there very long though either, though.
No, but he's a veteran, and all you got to do is hand him the rock. He doesn't even really have to know.
He does what
much
he
of the
does
offense.
at like 40 years old.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen,
It's
he
amazing.
doesn't
You
follow
got
the
Carey and
offense.
Johnson back
the
there.
offense follows him.
Swift,
So
and he's holding the load.
And then the other thing too is Tampa was completely comfortable with Ronald Jones being the starter week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, you're going to see Fournette kind of eat into his carries and probably take that job over.
right. I don't
But other
wanna
than that,
disrupt your point.
Detroit Lions, I think this is a shootout. I think either way, I was really impressed by Detroit last week and how they kind of attacked Chicago's D. I feel like they're going to do it again. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one in an upset.
Oh, you are going to go with Lions. I see you had it unmarked. I wasn't sure who you're going. Here you go. He's going Lions. All right. Let's see what a lot of comments out here. Sorry, I'm just getting to you guys. Swervo says, you guys make me want to go live and talk about football. LOL. But it won't be like this, so I can't. Oh, man. Don't put yourself down like that. Anybody can do it, Swervo, And we were talking about we're just right before the show, maybe trying to switch up some of the stuff we do here. We're always trying to improve the show. So we've looked at different OBS and stuff and possibly getting people. We do people on the phone interviews, perhaps opening up windows and be able to do video chat with you guys. I would have to get a few more monitors, I think, in here and splits other screens up and stuff. But that could be an option in the future here. So maybe you could be able to join and talk football with us and be part of our show as well. We would love to just say, hey, we're going to Swervo right here on YouTube, and bam, and have you be there. So we'll see, looking forward, if we can do something for that for you. But we really appreciate the kind words. He says, I feel like I'm the only one who drafted Lazard, and he got him in the last round. Yeah,
Good for you.
Maybe he was watching some of our shows too, because you have been one of the proponents here for Lazard and saying this is the guy. Watch out for it. Yeah. And here he is. He's up and coming, and he made some plays last week. And Cody says, Angry Aaron will lead the Packers to another W this week. He's with the Packers. Peterson already knew the system, so it was an easy transition, he says here, for them. And they see, there you go, similar offense. That's why they both agree there too as well. All right, so moving on to Jacksonville and Tennessee. Again, Jacksonville, we didn't even get to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. I buzzed right over top of them, but a game they should have probably had if they had even a kicker too. I mean, are you kidding me? But and Phillip Rivers. Damn you, Phillip Rivers. Again, I keep trying to talk up another guy and defend him, but some of those, actually all the picks were all his fault. They were terrible plays, and he put them in bad positions here for them.
Yeah,
Not only did they
threw 2 interceptions and had 1 touchdown pass.
Yeah, and 1 interception though got turned back just because of defensive penalties.
Yep.
But that would have been 3. I mean,
but it wasn't.
And then Jacksonville having the heart and the getting the plays done. They made more plays, and they came through and got that victory last week. But now they face the Tennessee Titans team, who has Derrick Henry on the opposite end. Ryan Tannehill was a little bit rusty at the beginning of that game, but then started to kind of move forward here and make Corey Davis be like a big part of that game too as well. But it's going to be a tough game. I think this is going to be very close, but I'm going to stick with Tennessee overall afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee Titans, they're an ex-playoff team. And there's a lot of high praise. There's a lot of expectations for this Titans team to carry on the tradition of last year and get right back into the playoffs. They didn't really lose anything in the offseason, and in fact, they just kind of stayed the same. We saw an emergence of Corey Davis last week. I wonder if that's going to kind of play into a little bit this week, going up against a young Jacksonville team, a team that kind of has traded not just their starting safety, but also their starting D-end, and Yannick Ngakoue and Ronnie Harrison to other teams. And it's almost like, are they trying to suck for Trevor Lawrence at this point? who knows? But I will say this: the Jaguars, as a team, I was pretty impressed with in Week 1 how they came out and they fought hard last week. So Jaguars defense, I think, to my surprise, were pretty impressive, and their offense with Gardner Minshew now at the helm doesn't have to worry about losing his job. Really took command of that offense, and they played really well. The one knock that I'll say about Jacksonville is there's no true running back. They have a young James Robinson who took the rock and ran with it last week. Did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did pretty good.
And they also have another rookie who's still injured, and we'll see what happens when he comes back. For the Tennessee Titans, pretty solid team all around. Good offensive line. A.J. Brown, who was kind of out missing in the game plan last week, which was surprising. He is going to probably come back strong in this one. And the defense for the Titans have that. Jadeveon Clowney is now newly added to this team. Didn't play a whole lot of snaps last week because of it. And I wonder, week in and week out, as he gets more comfortable with this playbook, you're going to see him on the field a lot more. He was disruptive at times when he went into play, but I was kind of surprised that Tennessee wasn't as stout as they normally are. I'm hoping to see a little uptick in their performance at going up against Jacksonville. I do agree with you, Jim. This is going to be a tough and tight type of game, but I like the roster overall what the Titans have, and I'm going to pick Tennessee. I'm going to stick with Tennessee. I chose them last week, and I'm going to choose them this week.
Yeah, I think A.J. Brown had a little difficulty dealing with A.J. Bouye a bit last week, though, too. I know the Denver Broncos are going to be without him this week.
A.J. Bouye, that wasn't the problem.
Well,
it wasn't. They just didn't throw to him. Corey, to be honest,
did on occasion.
To be honest, Corey Davis was wide open all game long.
Oh, he was. I agree with you there, too, as well. And you want to talk about the Jacksonville offense, too. I liked how they spread it around, and they were able to get Chenault involved, Chark. I mean, we saw a Keelan Cole sighting, even, too. It was amazing. Just like what they did all around. It got everybody involved. Swervo, he says, Joe, is your favorite team still the Raiders? I know they moved to Las Vegas. I don't know if that affected it or not.
Yeah, damn right. I bleed silver and black.
He bleeds, and that's how fandom should be. That's how you should do. Everybody. Again,
although this Monday night they will get obliterated. I'm calling it right now on national television. They're going to give up. I'm sorry. I do not like our defensive coordinator. I've hated him for 2 years now, and I still continue to hate him. He plays too much zone, not enough man, especially with this talented secondary and defense that they have. He just calls all the wrong plays. We're going to get obliterated by 50-plus points against the Saints.
You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
Give me $200.
There you go.
So I mean, that's what's really going to happen. I love my Raiders, and I'm sorry, but I'm a realist.
All right,
I see it.
That's where you got to be with your teams. You can't be one of these, guys like the Cowboys who think they're going to go to the Super Bowl and then they lost on week 1 and they're like, "What? What happened? This is the way it's supposed to be. Oh, my world is crumbling." All right, anyways, here you go. The Minnesota Vikings now and the Indianapolis Colts. 2 teams both lost week 1.
One's got to win this week.
One's got to win it this week.
They're going to win.
What do you got so far on this one, Joe?
For the Minnesota Vikings, we saw a team that, listen, we called it before the season even started. We saw the roster defensively is diminished. It's not as good. They got 2 very, very young corners that are unproven, and it showed in week 1. I think the struggles are going to continue. They have 2 of the best safeties in football, it seems like.
Some of the safeties, I would just say it seemed like they were lethargic a little bit.
And no defensive tackles. Like, that's really what it is. Like, basically, they don't have a strong pass rush. They don't have D tackles still there, and it's showing. So Minnesota's defense is drastically different. It's a different team. And you also point to the offense. No more Stephon Diggs. He got traded to Buffalo. He's not the go-to guy anymore for the deep routes. Adam Thielen went off last week, by the way. Got all the balls, had all the success. And opposite him, I'm still waiting. When are they going to start Justin Jefferson? Because he still hasn't earned the starting job. It's kind of a little puzzling to me. I don't know if it's because of the offensive playbook he hasn't gotten down or whatever. It can't be because of play, because B.C. Johnson is opposite Adam Thielen, and I do believe in him. I think he's a solid receiver, but Justin Jefferson, I feel, is going to be a difference maker for them. So when he starts, I feel like the offense will be better. You got Dalvin Cook to contend with in the backfield, along with Alexander Madison, and those 2 tight ends, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr. Watch out for their offense. Their offense is strong. Minnesota's defense is weak. The Colts, on the other hand, they got a little banged up in week 1 on defense. I feel like they're still going to come out strong. They're still going to play. And then you have the Colts offense. Phillip Rivers struggled in week 1 through 2 picks, only had 1 touchdown pass. But I feel like this could be a rebound game for them. Going up against a pretty darn weak Minnesota Viking defense. I know it sounds funny to say that, but the Indianapolis Colts, they're going to do their homework. They're going to pick on these young corners, and I feel like they're going to do that with a lot of success. Paris Campbell, I feel, is going to be the go-to guy in this one. T.Y. struggled in week 1, but I think Paris Campbell is the receiver to own in fantasy. So I strongly believe and I know Mack is gone, done for the season, but with Nyheim Hines kind of blew up on the scene last week when Mack went down, and with Jonathan Taylor, those two backs as a tandem, they're going to be dangerous. So I'm going with the Colts over the Vikings.
You have chosen wisely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on that one too. Again, you cannot deny what Nyheim Hines does, and he's been doing it here because Marlon Mack cannot stay healthy. So he's always asked upon and performs. That's what he does. So, and then having Jonathan Taylor back there, like you said, the new rookie that they have in there, it's going to be a nice 1-2 punch either way for them. Phillip Rivers, again, just needs to not force things into there. I saw some plays there that he left out and then forced it to a certain guy, like staring some guys down, like, no, this needs to be here. No, check down. Look at the check down. They're there. Just do it, and don't put your team into bad situations. And so, yeah, I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to fight back here. I saw it last week too. I mean, I had picked the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they were going to be able to still play against at a high level here with some of the veterans that they did have. They got Yannick Ngakoue there now as well. I didn't think losing Stephon Diggs was going to be that effective on them tier 2 because they also still have Dalvin Cook at the running back situation. I thought they were going to run more and do that, but who knows?
Just just a little quick tidbit about Minnesota is their running game is going to be vastly different because Kevin Stefanski is no longer the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. He moved on to Cleveland. So Minnesota, maybe they're going through a little bit of a tweaking of an offense, and that they're still trying to get used to it.
Right, yeah, I think exactly that's part of the situation there too. So again, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts here as well with them too. So
all
right, moving on to the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills take the win here against the Jets pretty easily here. Let me get to these guys quick first, actually, before I get in here. Swervo Gaming says, I love their halfback. He's a hard runner and a smart runner. I think that was from the last
he's one of the most complete backs.
Yep.
I mean, and he is kind of everyone's starting to kind of buzz about him, but there's a lot of things that he does. And what's interesting to me is you see some of these backs that are like super elusive, like a Dalvin Cook in the open field. You see the jukes that he does and makes people almost fall over. Josh Jacobs is a little bit different. I mean, he's a bigger back but has speed. He does these like little nuanced movements, like slight movements that you almost barely see, and guys just fall over. So, I mean, he's a very unique back, and he's very impactful. He's going to be a big-time asset even going into this week. He had a huge week last week, but I don't think it's going to be enough anyway.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that. I think offense needs to revolve around him. He is their key player again, and he's only going to open up situations, I think, for the passing game. So that's the way they got to play that all out here. Josh Jacobs.
Buffalo Bills.
So here we go.
Miami
the
Dolphins.
Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. Miami looked pretty rough last week as well. Buffalo, they could have won by more, I think, even too. That defense, again, people aren't even really talking about these guys, I think, on defense as much as like they should. People are really, because the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the New York Giants, so now that defense now, like, oh, look at these guys. All right, we knew they were there. We knew they were going to be a great team. But now apparently they're Super Bowl bound too, because Big Ben's back.
Yeah, because they beat the Giants.
Yeah, they beat the Giants. So look out.
They're on their way.
That's the gauge, I guess, for a Super Bowl. So
all
right, so the Buffalo Bills.
They're better than you thought they were.
Great defense. There's a reason why Tre'Davious White, again, got that extension here too. He was great last week too. And again, this team's just only getting better. Josh Allen running too, but secure the football. And some of those, you just work on your accuracy. You know you have the arm strength. Fix some of that accuracy, though, but he has weapons. Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, he made some good plays over in the middle of the field, too, as well.
Right.
They're going to go into Miami, so it's going to be tough to play in there. I know the weather here and there is a little bit different. Plus, you've got the hurricane rolling through that lower area in the Gulf region. I wonder how that might affect some of the weather that might be going on down there. I don't know yet if it is. But
rain.
Yeah, probably a lot of rain and very humid. But I am going to lean towards the Buffalo Bills on this one just because overall, from what I've seen from week 1, they are just looking a lot better.
Yeah, Miami Dolphins is a very interesting team because just when you think they're kind of down and out, they kind of have these surprise wins all of a sudden. I don't think this is going to be one of them, though. This is a Buffalo Bills team that's very strong, a team that we both feel so confident in. We have them kind of even winning the division or at least becoming in second, if not. And they've had 2 weeks now. This is their second week where it looks like a favorite, a little bit of a favoritism in their schedule. Week 1, they play the Jets, which was kind of like a layup. And now week 2, they play the Dolphins, which are still building, still growing, have a lot of potential, but just haven't met it yet. Bills, Josh Allen went crazy in week 1, running, throwing, with all those weapons that they have. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, 2 young backs that they really like, an improved offensive line. Their defense is super strong and super aggressive. They just attack the offenses. I think Buffalo's going to go right down to Miami, and they're just going to take the win that easy.
All right, moving forward, we have the San Francisco 49ers who got upset by the Arizona Cardinals.
And they're
pissed. Now the Jets.
They're pissed.
So, yeah, this is the perfect team to face after something like that. Now you can embarrass the Jets and their building now, which really isn't their building. It's the New York Giants building. So, But
right. The stadium goes to the better team.
Yeah, now we get to see how inept Adam Gase is again for another week here. So the San Francisco 49ers, they are not going to have Richard Sherman here on this game, but I don't think that's going to matter here with the way this offense has been run by Adam Gase without Le'Veon Bell. Not that they even made so much of a difference because that offensive line sucks. So I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers here. And there you go. That's all I don't need to say much more.
And you mentioned Richard Sherman's not going to be there. Also, the other starting corner, Caleb Weatherspoon, he won't be here. He won't be in that game either. So they'll be playing backup corners, but it doesn't matter. You don't need corners when you have a D-line net like this. And the Jets' offensive line is going to have their hands full tenfold. The one thing that I'm interested to watch, though, is the Jets' newly acquired in the draft rookie Mekhi Becton, mountain of a man. You can't miss him. If you watch this game, you're just going to be baffled by the size of this guy if you haven't seen him already. But I'm interested to see how he pass protects, how he run blocks against a stout Niners D-line and D-ends. Nick Bosa versus Mekhi Becton. Can't wait to see that matchup. But other than that, that's the only matchup I'm interested to see. After that point, the Niners, great offensive line. They're limited on receiving weapons, but so aren't the Jets. I feel like they're just going to be able to run on this team at will. And in the end, it's going to be a doozy of a game. The 49ers, no surprise, are going to run away with this one.
All right, let's move forward here now with the LA Rams against the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, again, had that game. Like, I was watching that with my sons in that first half. Like, my sons, even, they don't watch too much of football. They're very young, and they're seeing this, and they're like, wow, this team is going to lose. The Redskins, they're just getting dominated right now. And then the Redskins come back and will have 23, unanswered points or something like that. Just took over that defense. Again, 8 sacks, Swervo had brought up too, 8 sacks. It was just a tale of two halves. Injuries on the Philadelphia Eagles side, which is basically their whole makeup now. I mean, if you want to be honest with yourselves, that's what they keep having here is just injuries nonstop that keeps them out of contention here. So facing that here against the Los Angeles Rams, who I thought was going to take a step back this season and potentially be last in this division.
I mean, we
where
thought they were going to
played
lose
pretty,
last week.
Yeah, they played very, very well last week, especially getting Malcolm Brown involved in the red zone and all around, being able to run the ball. Minus Todd Gurley, all that stuff. They have Cam Akers and they have Malcolm Brown there still running that. And then what they do on offense, too, with the jet sweeps. Robert Woods, again, getting his due all the time here. Jared Goff looked good. I'm liking the Rams in this one.
What's not to like? The Rams looked pretty darn solid in week one. And against a team that everybody thought, I'm sorry, I don't care what you think, a lot of people going into week one thought the Cowboys were going to be like one of the better teams, one of the more talked about teams. And they were up until last week when they got, shellacked or physically just outright beaten up against the Rams. Rams, I've already talked about their offense and how explosive they are on that side. Jared Goff looks really comfortable. And now that he has a healthy offensive line, and we've said this before, if he has a healthy offensive line, he usually does well. And he doesn't have that right now. So I look at their defense, and that was a question mark for me. The Rams' defense, I'm like, yeah, they got Aaron Donald. Yeah, they got Jalen Ramsey. But, yeah, they got John Johnson III at safety. But, really, is there any standout players beyond that besides Michael Brockers? You know what I mean? And company. They lost Corey Littleton in free agency, so it was like, oh, man, they lost him. They lost this guy. That I don't know if they're going to be as good. But, wow, I was impressed. I really was impressed with the Rams last week. I feel like they're going to continue. They're going to be playing very solid. Going up against Philly, I feel with Philly's injuries along the offensive line, maybe this game it's time for Jason Peters to get injured. Because with the way their track record's going already this season, it seems like they just roll the dice and the next man goes down. So Philly's going to pretty much, I feel, struggle against the Rams at times. And because of that, and the Rams are just going to keep running the ball and grinding it out like they normally do. I got the Rams against the Eagles.
All right. Swervo says, you think Brown is the main back, or is Henderson going to get a big role here coming off injury?
I think that as long as Malcolm Brown, who I absolutely love, I wasn't sure in week one when he got the decision to be the starter if he was going to be the answer. I thought that Cam Akers is still a sleepy target where maybe down the road he will become the starter. But as of right now, Malcolm Brown was super impressive. Physically imposing, made people miss, broke a ton of tackles, and could catch the ball in the backfield. Did a great job with his vision and seeing the hole, attacking it. Was very hard to bring down. So I feel if he keeps running like that, he's going to run away with this starting job all season long. Even if Henderson comes back, Henderson will get a few carries, but I feel like Brown is earning a spot where you can pretty much just say he's the starter.
There you go. Let's look at the Pittsburgh Steelers here against the Denver Broncos. Broncos, they were keeping up here with the Tennessee Titans last week here, so it was a little bit of a closer game. But Philip Lindsay, again, he gets injured during the game. So they're dealing with
turf toe
without having Von Miller. So I mean, they played him hard, but again, you've got Drew Lock out there who's still learning things here with his wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy looked pretty good though out there too, without having Courtland Sutton there. So, but going against a Pittsburgh team, that defense, good luck. I mean, I think that's going to be pretty close. If they played like the way they did here against the Giants, I mean, they could be unstoppable here with that defense the way it is. And Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, he just needed to knock the rust off again because he is what he is. He's a two-time winning Super Bowl champion. He still has Juju Smith-Schuster out there. He's got a bunch of other weapons. Chase Claypool made some plays out there too as well. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers here at home.
And how can you not like the Steelers at home? Here's the thing. What we noticed about Big Ben is he had his moments last week, right? He threw the ball pretty well all throughout the game. However, a couple of hits kind of rattled him a little bit. We did notice some miscues along the way. He's probably going to tighten those up going into this week. Now that, like you said, he dusted the rust off there. So now he's a little bit more comfortable. Now he knows what to expect. However, they are going to go without Zach Banner. One of their starting offensive linemen already is hurt. Yeah. So he's done for the absolute year.
Yeah.
So that may hurt them along the way. But other than that, they came away pretty much unscathed. And the Denver Broncos, a lot of people were hyping the Broncos up to no avail. It was absolutely almost sickening to hear how positive everybody felt about this team, how they were going to come in. They were going to contend for the AFC West. Well, if you watched week 1, no. Just no. Drew Lock, terrible. I mean, he made miscues. He made bad decisions. He couldn't connect sometimes. His accuracy was off. Sometimes he was running straight backwards and trying to throw the football. So last week we saw an indicator of him not being that confident, not being able to connect with some of his receiving options. And the only one that he could connect with was tight end Noah Fant. He was the big go-to guy. I know Sutton is not there last week. I don't know if he's going to be there this week. I think he's going to miss this week too. But again, injury reports don't come out finally until Friday to get some more clarification there. But nonetheless, Broncos offense struggled. And I don't care if you got Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay back there. You just got to stop the run. Force Drew Lock to throw the football. No Von Miller, which to me, and no A.J. Bouye, by the way.
Yeah, A.J. Bouye.
He's out for this game and for the next at least 3 weeks. So that's going to hurt them even farther. Not a whole lot of positives for Denver, and I feel like you're going into the Lions' den, so to speak, against the Steelers. Great defense, an offense that's looking to be more explosive this year with Big Ben at the helm. Steelers got to win this one.
All right, here Swervo Gaming says, I really thought Chase Claypool would make a bigger difference for the Steelers, but I guess not in Week 1. That's what I think. Yeah. I mean, he there was a sighting here and there. He made that big play, a little toe tap, so that's something to show. You know,
he had a couple of great catches.
That was great. So I mean, but again, with some of the talent that they had, I mean, you see that only moving forward they can get better with that.
So I watched that game Monday Night Football, and I was watching it with a couple of friends, and I kept yelling at the TV screen every time Chase made a good catch. You need to start the guy. Get him out there. He's better than Washington. He's better than Deontay Johnson. I know he's a little bit different. He's a big receiver that has speed, who can make the catches. I'm sorry. You need to start him opposite Juju, and your offense will be dynamic. You put Deontay Johnson in the slot, forget about it. It's over. Big Ben's going to connect with those guys, and I think it's going to be super hard to stop them. And by the way, Benny Snell Jr. is now going to be your starting running back at the Pittsburgh Steelers, since Connor could not stay healthy yet again, and now he's going to be out for a couple of weeks at least. So because of that, guess what, Connor? I'm calling it right now. I think you lost your job after Benny Snell Jr. showed what he could show on the football field. Was very dynamic, hard to bring down, and he could be the next answer for the Pittsburgh Steelers at running back. Really like to see him, but I would definitely want to see Chase Claypool out there more often.
Yeah, you saw the difference there. That's kind of where the game changed too. If you looked at that game, it was a bit closer here too. James Conner didn't really get it going, but once Benny Snell was able to get the carries and stuff, he was actually moving the chains along, because the Giants were even stopping the run to an extent as well.
When Conner was in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then when Snell came in, you saw the difference, and then sometimes that's all you need, a personnel change,
and that's
get
where
the ball rolling.
I kind of question Conner's health. Like, he's coming off of 2 major surgeries, and now I feel like he's lost a step. He's not as sure of himself. He's not as aggressive as he used to be, and it's showing on the football field, and that's why Benny Snell is just probably going to take it over.
Right. There you go. And now moving forward to the Carolina Panthers here. Had a tough game. I thought Teddy Bridgewater looked pretty good there, and Christian McCaffrey still getting his, but,
I'll tell you right now, watch the game.
Yeah.
Bridgewater, missing receivers, throwing it behind them.
But
didn't really have that great of a game.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey still getting done what he's getting done. Their defense, I thought, played a little better than what they, missing, even though they missed a bunch of guys, not having the same personnel that they had. But they stayed in that game, and they made it competitive. But moving forward to go against now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that had to face the Saints first Week 1 here, and we're staying toe-to-toe with them until a little bit towards the end. And left some plays out there where they could have capitalized on. I think this is a great team to face here for them to bounce back. Divisional game again. Tampa Bay Buccaneers all the way at home here. Tom Brady looks like Tommy Terrific for him once again. So I like the Buccaneers.
Swervo says, I got a trade for James Conner and Marquise Brown. my players. For Kareem Hunt and Odell, his players.
It might as well be Karen Hunt. He said Karen Hunt, so it might as well be
I'll tell you this right now. Do not give away Marquise Brown. I know James Conner, you could deal him I would move on from him if you could, but I would not trade Marquise Brown for Hunt and Odell. Odell's a nobody at this point. He's lost in Cleveland. Nobody knows how to get him the ball. And Kareem Hunt, a good player, but he's not the featured guy. So he is more of a backup. He is fantasy relevant, but I feel like Marquise Brown has a higher upside than both those guys combined. So I would definitely hold on to Marquise Brown.
Yeah, I like that too, Marquise Brown here. But again,
if you can move on from Connor, I would try to do that and maybe try to get somebody else.
Yeah, for Kareem Hunt and Odell Beckham. Yeah, again, that's kind of you have a better upside if you did grab Odell, but I mean, again, he hasn't really been producing either, though. So, and Kareem Hunt, again, sharing carries.
Unless Odell gets traded elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I wouldn't do that as well.
Upside, Marquise Brown all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the main man in Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you got Tampa Bay or Carolina in this one, Joe?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about the Panthers, right? So last week, I watched the whole entire game. I bounced around the NFL, and I watched as many other games as possible, but this one was my game to watch. That's why, like, Jim, I was just trying to help you out with Bridgewater's evaluation. Bridgewater was
I thought he did okay, though. I mean, I ain't going to say he was horrible. I thought he did okay, though, because, I mean, I didn't have a lot of high expectations for him as well. Anyways, because, I mean, they had Kyle Allen before that.
I mean, the problem with Bridgewater is that he just wasn't connecting. He was throwing behind the receivers quite often. And then even the receivers themselves were dropping the ball at times.
Yeah.
Really, the only success that they had on offense was McCaffrey. And it wasn't until the third quarter when that happened. So the Raiders, I thought, in the first half did an amazing job. I mean, capping McCaffrey. He didn't do anything. And then it seemed like they forgot that he played on Carolina in the second half and just gave up a lot. So all in all, Carolina looks like still – the offense goes through McCaffrey, and if they were going to become a better offense, they got to heavily utilize him from the start. Defensively, no Luke Kuechly, no James Bradbury, missing two big-time pieces on that defense. Very young, too. They showed some moments that they could create pressure, but just couldn't stop the Vegas Raiders offense very well. So Henry Ruggs, he had a big game until he got hurt, and then he came back. But anyway, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, week 1, they faced one of the more experienced and tough teams in their division with the Saints. Tough defense, tough offense to contend with. But this one, I feel like the Buccaneers, this is kind of going to be their coming out party in this division. I feel like they're going to rock the Panthers. It's not even going to be close. And Tampa Bay is going to take this.
Absolutely. This is like a gimme here. All right, so now I think an interesting game moving forward is the Washington football team. All right, against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals here at home, and they looked good last week. Again, I mean, had a tough game against a team that went to the Super Bowl. You know, number 1 rushing offense of last year, a great defense. They are going to be missing a few players like we had talked about earlier. Washington, their defense is stout. They played outstanding, but again, it wasn't until a lot of injuries happened and things like that too. I mean, they were applying some pressure, but it wasn't really until like the second half that they really were able to move forward and get some of those plays to happen. And you still have Dwayne Haskins back there with limited weapons. What are they going to be able to do? Is Barber going to get more carries here than the other running back that they have? What's the running game going to look like? I think Washington's happy with pulling off that win against the Philadelphia Eagles last week, but I think it ends here again, and the Arizona Cardinals start off 2-0.
Swervo Gaming, appreciate that. You're more than welcome. Anytime, bro. He just said thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Swervo, was it
We always
Swervo?
give advice.
I got to ask you a question because I don't quite remember. Was it Swervo that won last year's contest?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Swervo, if you could do us a favor, if you could private message either me or Jimmy and send your address because we got a gift to send to you.
Oh, yeah, we have a gift for you. Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. But Arizona, Washington. Now this, to me, Arizona's offense went against one of the tougher defenses in the 49ers. Now they got back-to-back weeks of tough defenses. If the Arizona Cardinals can score points on Washington as well, I'm telling you right now, This team is going to be making a major push. Arizona, they also have a good defense that no one talks about. We've talked on the show for the past couple of weeks about how much they've added to this team. They are looking prolific, and on both sides of the football. So Arizona Cardinals going up against Washington. What does Washington not have? They don't have receiving weapons, and they still have yet to add them. So I'm telling you right now, Cardinals going to take this one. I don't have any ifs, ands, or buts about it. The only way I could see this shift the other way is if the Washington defense somehow gets a couple of turnovers and turns them into scores. But other than that, I think Arizona's going to get this win.
I agree. Here. Yeah, Swervo says I won. We were doing our MVP of the week last year, so we put all the names up.
Last season, yeah.
Yep, and put all the names up together, and we drew from a hat just the beginning before we started this season to see who would get the prize, and we end up pulling your name, but you haven't been on here, so we were going to try and get your information and to send you something, but there you go. So yeah, if you could direct message us somehow and here on, or email us on Gmail, Football on the Know at Gmail or something here on YouTube, we'll send you a
if you got Facebook, it would be easier to message us. You just got to look us up.
Yep.
We're out there.
Yep. So we'll send you something special though, and we really appreciate you joining us.
Swervo does comment here too. He goes, "Why did Washington release Peterson?"
Yeah.
Well, Washington pretty much decided they didn't want to re-sign him because they might have been worried about his age, getting older yet again. Two, another focal point was their youth at the backfield. They did draft Antonio Gibson, who came into a crowded backfield already, and they also, if you remember early in the season, they still had Darius Guice, who looked like he was going to be the go-to guy, looked like he was going to be the starter, and wouldn't you know it, after they released Peterson, Guice gets into trouble. He's kicked off the football team as well. Yep. And now they're relying on a kind of like a running back by committee with J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson and others. So Peterson, by the time that situation happened with Guice, it was already too late. Peterson moved on, signed with the Detroit Lions.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. And Peyton Barber got a lot of carries too in that game. It was weird how they mixed it all up. I thought they did fairly well mixing all three. Here you saw Gibson here and there too. Yep. It was pretty interesting for them. All right, moving on. We have got the Kansas City Chiefs here against the Chargers. Chargers defense again
Divisional battle
without Derwin James again, which is rough. But again, that front seven looks really solid here, making pressure here. Joey Bosa there, Melvin Ingram. Kansas City Chiefs, their defense looked really terrible the first drive or so in the beginning of that game. Then they kind of started meld a little bit together. Chris Jones was getting pressure, which was nice here. But now facing the Chargers. They're not as good, I think, as the Texans. Either way, even though I think the Texans are taking a step back here as well, I don't think their offense is prolific enough to deal with Kansas City's offense that they still have. So I like the Kansas City Chiefs here to go into LA with a victory.
Kansas City Chiefs, they're a Super Bowl team for a reason. They didn't really lose much in this offseason. Not anything. In fact, they gained the health of Sammy Watkins, who returns to the lineup. And it's like pick your poison when you're playing their offense. You got Patrick Mahomes, who can either run or pass. You have Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, who no one really kind of talks about, and also Robinson. I forgot his first name, but he kind of made an impact last week. More than a lot of people thought. And then you have the rookie, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
It's kind of weird, though, Robinson.
And Darrell Williams. So they are just absolutely stacked on the offensive side of the ball. As far as defense, it's really Chris Jones and Frank Clark on that D-line that you only got to worry about. Their secondary, I feel, is weak.
Yeah.
Their linebackers, I feel, are older and weaker. And the only real stud in that secondary is Tyrann Mathieu. So really the only guy you have to worry about. The Chargers, more complete defense. I mean, they got two great pass rushers. They have a great D tackle who's kind of, it's only his second year, and Justin Tillery, I think his last name is. He's going to be dangerous. He actually got a sack last week. And then you have this kind of like a tandem, Chris Harris and Casey Hayward at corners. There's a lot to love. Now, just imagine, picture this. If Derwin James was healthy, I would call them the best defense easy in the AFC. I mean, they were just going to be that special. But Unfortunately, Derwin James is not there. Offensively, I'm a little concerned with Tyrod Nat right now. We saw week 1 him kind of struggle at times. It almost like he preferred to throw 50-50 balls more than dumping it down to a guy like Keenan Allen or Hunter Henry. I wonder if he's going to evolve in this offense or keep continuing playing the way he is. If that is the case, the Chargers offense is going to struggle. And until he changes, I don't know if their offense is going to score enough points. Their defense might hold them in it for a little while, but all in all, Kansas City is going to pour on points every single series. So I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Chargers. And this is a game where you're going to see these two teams, they really go after each other because it's a divisional game.
Yes. It's going to be a little closer than some people probably imagine. All right, here, Baltimore Ravens, who came up big here against the Cleveland Browns, going into Houston now. Texans get embarrassed on Thursday night. So, Joe, why don't you take it away with this one here? See what's going to go on with this one.
This is too easy. I mean, we saw them struggle against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They don't have near as good of a defense as the Baltimore Ravens do, and just as explosive as an offense as the Chiefs do. Overall, they got a better roster. Baltimore should have beat them in the playoffs, failed to do so. But this going up against Houston, they have just too many holes. I mean, they don't have Hopkins there to bring them back on offense. Their defense is weaker. We feel like they're trending downward for us. I'm going to go the Ravens easy. I think they're going to go into Houston, and they're going to rack up points offensively, and their defense is just not going to put a stranglehold on Houston's offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think Baltimore has a better overall team. Again, where their weakest is probably wide receiver, but again, Hollywood has shown what he can do here for them.
And don't forget Mark Andrews.
Yeah. And but again, I think there was a few plays here where Lamar Jackson struggled on some of the passes, but overall he had some really great accurate passes there too as well. And the running attack. I mean, you've got to see J.K. Dobbins a little bit last week too.
Touchdown. He's like the goal line guy.
Oh, yeah.
He just steals touchdowns away from Mark Ingram.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, and now, Houston, again, I think this is going to be a rough season for them. I picked them to finish third in the division. So, again, I'm going to stay true with that. I don't think they're a competitive team here to make the playoffs. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens as well. Speaking of which, it was funny. I just want to touch back up here with Cleveland because I thought of how inept the GM and the coach for the Houston Texans is. What about Kevin Stefanski with the fake punt here that the Cleveland Browns did last week? Wasn't that stupid? Oh my god, it's dumb. It was the dumbest thing, and they were on their side of the field. Like, it was just,
you never do that when you're on your side of the field.
I was like, what are you doing?
Somebody's done that
against
before.
the Baltimore Ravens. I was like, I feel
like
stupid.
someone has done that before. Maybe it was Bill O'Brien.
Oh yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying.
He's given bad advice to Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, he's a trigger mechanism now for bad memories. Now that's what it is. All right, the New England Patriots, they pull off a win last week against the bad Miami Dolphins team, 21-11. They go now into Seattle here and face the Seattle Seahawks
team.
and Russell Wilson. We get to see two quarterbacks now and try and run off the read option and make some plays that way. But Russell Wilson is a much better quarterback than Cam Newton.
100%.
They're going to have a better running attack. They have better wide receivers. So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks on this one.
And I think they're going to have a kind of an impressive Seattle defense for me. Definitely didn't expect their D-line to do much, and I don't think they were the difference, but I feel like Jamal Adams, his aggressive play style, him blitzing off the edge at times, really created some disruption last week. I'm looking for that to happen more often in week 2 against New England, against Cam Newton, and maybe, just maybe, Jamal Adams lays a hard enough lick on Cam to put him out of the game. But Seattle as a team, I feel like, is better than New England's team. Like you mentioned, the receiving core is way better than what the Patriots have to offer. Their running game with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, look at that tandem right there. Pretty darn good backs to have. I just feel like Seattle is a more complete team at home in the 12th man with no 12th man. I feel like Seattle's going to beat out New England.
Boom shakalaka.
Even with old ass Greg Olson out there too, you know.
What is he doing playing? I don't understand it.
There you go. All right, finally to Monday Night Football here. We have the New Orleans Saints against Joe's Vegas Raiders. Joe, why don't you take away on this one here? It's your team. What do you think about this one here? How are your Raiders going to stack up against the New Orleans Saints?
I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen in this game. And I touched on it early in the show. Paul Gunther, my D coordinator, the Vegas Raiders D coordinator, is absolutely atrocious. He should be fired. And for some reason, Gruden kind of, I don't know if he's like a childhood friend or something, but he just still remains on this team. He doesn't deserve it. I don't think defensively our talent is bad. I feel like it's just the coordinator that's kind of holding them back. He's going to hold them back even yet another week against a prolific passing offense, and with Alvin Kamara to contend with, I don't think they have a shot defensively. But what I do think is that the Vegas Raiders do have a shot offensively. I know the Saints defense is pretty darn good, but I feel like the Raiders have more weapons than they ever have since Derek Carr took over this team, and they are explosive. Yes, Josh Jacobs is the big go-to guy, but I also think that the Saints, if they're smart, are going to try everything they got to shut down Jacobs and force Derek Carr in this offense to become one-dimensional. Thus, the Saints overall are going to put up a lot of points against the Vegas Raiders defense, and I don't think the Raiders offense is going to be enough to keep up with them. Saints are going to run away with this one. It's that
Don't
that
be
easy.
rude.
I don't care, Donald. Shut up. The Saints are going to run away with this. I'm saying easy. I don't think it's a question. From what I saw last week with the Raiders defense, they are going to score 50 points or more. The Saints will, and the Raiders just won't be able to match it in the end.
All right, there you go. Swervo, he said, LOL, glad I won. Talking about when he won the thing. Yes, excellent. That's awesome. Yeah, it was a tough one. We had a bunch. Mike Tackett was in and running. I think even Steven Likens, John Turner. There was a whole bunch of names out there.
Of names in there.
But you watched with us like week to week, and that's what it is. Your loyalty
dedicated,
and
man.
your dedication to us, and we appreciate it.
You are
definitely
a
for you.
know-it-all, brother.
He says, you guys, the only sports announcers I watch, to be honest, LOL, don't really watch ESPN. You shouldn't watch a lot of that stuff anyways,
No.
because you watch one show, and then the next show they'll feed you the same stuff. And then they'll have one guy that has just a totally different argument. Then they yell at him for being stupid.
Just want to point out that
and
ESPN, those major networks, the one problem with them, and I've actually completely stopped watching ESPN, NFL Network for NFL advice and fantasy advice, because what they do is they cram whatever the media is pushing. They cram it down your throat, and they don't stray from it. They just keep regurgitating the same BS over and over and over, and all the casual fans believe it. But there's football shows like ours out there where we're not going to BS you. We're going to give you our honest opinion, whether it be, the popular, decision, or if it's going to be against the grain. We don't care. We'll give you our honest
ugly,
opinion.
You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
That's
even
right,
if it's
doctor.
even if that's the opinion, we don't care. Again, we're just here talking with you about it. You can agree, you can disagree. We want to hear
We're
it from
cool
you, though,
with
as
that.
well. Thank you so much for joining us with us tonight.
I just want to, before you get going,
I
just want to point out a huge thank you to all of our know-it-alls out there. Really, we do this show for you guys. Like we don't do this for fun, obviously, but we don't get paid. We are not sponsored. We're not anything. We're trying to get to that point, but we need your help to do so. So we really need you guys to spread the word. Go ahead, share, comment, like every show. Get the name out there and help us grow.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. So I've been coming to my pick though here. Again, it can be
got the
tough.
Saints.
Again,
You
I got the
Saints.
Saints.
Come on.
Everybody knows this. Again, I'm a big.
It's not close.
Even if Michael Thomas isn't going to be there, I think I have enough
not
talent
close.
there. Again, the defense is better than the Vegas Raiders defense.
Yep.
And I mean, the Raiders ended up winning that game again, but
there's
some issues I still have with some of the things. that they
The
do, so.
only way the Raiders have a chance to win this is if they outscore the Saints, and that just sounds hilarious.
Or
to me.
I think they try and play keep away a little too much, like really run the clock out if they can keep running and have effective running game. If they can effectively run the ball a bit and keep it going. But against
They
that
can't-
defense, it's going to be very rough.
I will say this: the Raiders' offensive line is one of the better offensive lines, and there's no question. However, I think they could easily run on this team. The problem I feel is that they are going to load the box. They are going to try to do everything in their power to stop Josh Jacobs, and if they do that, Raiders become one-dimensional. Never a good thing for an offense.
All right, there you go. That's it for us this week. We really appreciate out there. I'm going to leave.
Thank you, guys.
Swervo's comment out there. I've been trying that a little bit too. I really appreciate you guys joining us with us tonight, trying out the new stuff that we're doing here with the comments and stuff. Really love the interaction.
Absolutely.
Like Joe said, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the notifications bell.
Football on the No
Follow
Show.
us on Twitter, FB_no. And on Facebook, just check us out, Football on the No Show. Join our group. Like our page too as well, because we are going to do some more stuff on the page.
Know-it-all.
Become a know-it-all. That's right. And leave some comments, likes, share the videos. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys next week.